Good evening. It is 6 o'clock. I am not sure. Can you hear me okay?
I can turn. It's hard to tell.
Oh, okay. I'll just keep talking. Maybe you could kind of turn it up a little bit. All right. Good evening. It is today's Tuesday, December 16th. This is the Cook County School District 130 Board of Education regular board meeting. We are at the Eisenhower Cooperative in Crestwood. And Dr. McKay, if you could please give us a roll call.
Mr. Bain?
Here.
Mr. Burmeister? Mr. Gaffner?
Here.
Ms. Gillespie-Roll?
Here.
Ms. Martinez? Here. Ms. McGinnis? Mr. Werner?
Here.
All right, we have quorum. Thank you. We'll move on now to the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we will move on now to public comments. And just as a reminder, as we open the floor for public comment, if you would like to address the board, we do have a designated sign-in sheet at the front check-in table. So if you have not signed in and you want to speak, now's the time to do so. Additionally, please be aware the comments made during this time are not protected from potential legal liability. As a reminder, the board will not respond to or engage in dialogue with individuals choosing to make a public comment. The board reserves the right to limit the length of public comments and has exercised that right for this meeting. Individual comments will be limited to 3 minutes for a total of 30 minutes allotted for public comment and all. We ask that all comments be made respectfully and in a manner that does not disrupt the meeting. With that said, I will invite our first speaker, Abrina Sykes. I'm sorry if that is. Hi, thank you.
I didn't know the comments come first. This is my first time coming to the meeting.
Oh, welcome.
And it's different from our town hall meetings. So I was just thinking that we normally hear your meeting and then when they come afterwards.
Okay.
But like I said, this is just my first time coming to the meeting, and I'll be trying to come to the rest of the meetings. And like I say, my grandkids, they come to the school, and it's just a difference from our town meetings, but this is school district. So I do have some concerns, but I just wanted to know how did your meeting go. So maybe next meeting I'll probably ask a question or so.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you. All right. One more public comment? Okay. Thank you. All right, I will invite Ms. Navarro to come up now.
Who's on the mic?
I just come in the classroom, and they do have a process to go through, and they talk in the classroom for 2 hours, Monday to Thursday. Wednesday they have workshops through Zoom, and Fridays we have workshops at schools, and we have activities for them, we have programs for them to learn and to be more active in school and help. For parents to do this program, they do receive stipend. When they started 30 years ago, it was just free, and now they do receive 2 stipends a year, $1,500. So parents are more motivated to help in schools, and they help kids that are falling back behind. So the classroom has 30 students, and there's just a small group that's falling behind. That parent mentor is there to help to make those students catch up to the other students. And it has a lot of teachers love it, and they see the improvement. So it has a lot of beneficials for students. And they do, as the student grows, the parents also grow, and this program offers for the parents to become paraprofessionals, SICAs, so they help them throughout the process. A lot of the parents get hired for the schools, so it's very beneficial as well for the students, as well for parents to grow. And we do want to bring it up to the schools and be more active in this area. And I don't know if we can get food, if we've been trying to reach.
Do you have information you could leave
Yeah,
behind?
yes, I do.
Yes, please, thank you. All right, thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. I will leave, make sure this is in the appropriate hands. I think you have another copy, sure. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on now, hearing no other public comments, we will move on to board member comments. At this time, do any members of the board have comments?
Yes, sir, I have some things for you. Effective today, December 16th, 2025, all electronic communications sent from your district-issued phone or district-issued laptop are to include all members of the Board of Education to the extent permitted by the law, district policy, and guidance from legal counsel. Compliance will be approved through periodic FOIA requests. Please confirm you understand this directive.
I hear you.
Okay. Secondly, based on information provided by the district's law firm regarding the use of legal services, you racked up $1,787.50 in district funds on matters related to the SEIU bargaining. As a member of the negotiating team, I have provided regular updates to the board. Can you provide a comment regarding this expenditure for the record?
Yes, as the board president, I was seeking to understand the status of negotiations.
Do you understand we're all as one person up here, not yourself? It's 7, so we need to discuss it as all, not you.
Yes?
So moving forward, again, those conversations need to be shared with all board members. Are we clear? Thank you. Also, a special meeting was held on November 18th, 2025 for the purpose of budget approval for agenda item 3A, review and adoption of board policy on educational priorities, and was included and acted upon at that meeting. Further guidance from legal counsel indicated that required procedure steps may not have been fully satisfied. That meeting was illegal. You never had any meetings, and we'll discuss that later. It doesn't comply with the Open Meetings Act. So that action 3A is void. You understand that also?
No, I do not understand that, so I will seek further guidance from our legal counsel.
I have it here. You've got a copy of your email, so you can further understand it. Again, remember, there are 7 members up here, not just one. It's not the Sarah hour. You can't pick and choose what you want to do. We're united as one.
And when was that email sent? You said I have a copy in my email?
I can look for it. It was sent
When was it sent?
last week, I believe.
Last week?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, I do not have a copy in my email from
We'll
last
take a
week.
look where it's at, but more communication with board members.
Okay, you are saying I have a copy in my email. I do not know what you're talking
Let me
about.
find out.
I need a copy in my email to understand what you're
I
talking
have
about.
one from the legal team here December 9th. I'll make sure you're copied on it. That's null and void, and we'll have to relook at it in executive session to tell you.
Okay, I can't look at anything until I see this email you're talking
I'll
about.
let you know it was an illegal meeting because it wasn't done properly.
Okay, I will look at the email and get
Right,
back to you on
thank
that. Any other board member comments? Okay, thank you. We will move on then to our commendations and recognitions, apologies. December 25 personnel recognition. I would like to invite Ms. Tisch to kick us off and then pass it on to the appropriate person, please.
Hello, everybody. Sorry, you're going to have to turn this way, maybe a little bit. Okay. This evening, I am honored to recognize members of our Human Resources team, whose behind-the-scenes work is essential to daily success of Cook County School District 130. Their dedication, professionalism, and attention to detail ensure that all employees, everyone sitting in this room pretty much, and our systems run smoothly, and our schools can remain focused on student learning. Tonight, we pause to express our sincere appreciation for the individuals who serve our district with excellence every day. So I'm going to call my team up, and I want you to put a name now to a face when you see them, because you do see them a lot behind an email or on the phone. So I'm going to ask them to please stand up over on this side of me, please, so that everybody can see you. And then I'd like to say a little something nice about them as they're standing up. So could my team please come up here? Okay. So let's see what I have. Too many computers. Okay, first I'd like to recognize Alia Sanchez. Step forward a little bit. There you go. Okay. She's our district receptionist. We proudly recognize Ms. Alia Sanchez. She's the welcoming voice of our district. As our district receptionist, Alia greets and assists visitors with warmth and professionalism, ensuring all proper sign-in and security procedures are followed. She manages the incoming calls, provides essential information regarding district offices and policies, and coordinates front desk communications, including emails and mail distribution. Alia also supports the administrative staff by scheduling substitute teachers. Her gracious demeanor and adaptability, make her an essential part of our daily operations. Could you please give her a hand? I know Myra's really happy about these. Okay. Our second is Carmen Ferreira. You might see her in an email as Maria. She's our payroll clerk. Could you please stand forward? Tonight we extend our gratitude to Miss Maria Carmen Ferreira, our meticulous and highly dependable payroll clerk. Carmen ensures that all employees are paid accurately and on time, and she addresses any time she's concerned with patience and care. Her attention to detail and strong commitment to customer service help maintain staff confidence in our payroll operations. We thank you for your consistency and support manner in which she carries out her work. Okay. Next, I'd like to call up or stand forward Ms. Myra Esparza. She's our Human Resources Assistant. We are also honored to recognize Ms. Myra Esparza, a Human Resources Assistant who is vital to the success of our department. Myra manages the staff evaluation process from placing evaluators in the online platform to entering required data for state reporting. She plays a key role in onboarding new employees and provides ongoing support with teacher certification, reimbursement requests, and a wide range of human resource matters. Myra's attention to detail and dedication significantly strengthens our department's operations. We are truly grateful for her expertise and her positive, solution-oriented approach for the past 11 years. Congratulations. Okay. Next we would like to honor Ms. Cynthia Racio, who provides essential support to our human resource operations. Cynthia plays a key role in communicating important information to employees, ensuring accurate teacher certification, documentation, and creating and updating staff arrays with precision. Ms. Racio is an essential part of human resources daily operations. Her professionalism, responsiveness, and outstanding organizational skills model the high standards of our human resource processes. We deeply appreciate her commitment to excellence and the calm, happy presence she brings to our team over the last 12 years. And last, this is like my second mom. Okay. So, this evening we recognize Ms. Lori Ho, our dedicated benefits coordinator. Lori oversees employee leaves, staff attendance, and the administration of all employee insurance and retirement benefits with exceptional care. She also facilitates payroll functions with accuracy and consistency. Lori's deep expertise in benefit system and her support for employees make her an invaluable resource to our district. We are grateful for her professionalism, her reliability, and the positive impact she has on our daily operations for the past 26 years.
Thank you again to my human resources team.
All right, thank you. And now I'll pass it over to Mr. Trujillo, Dr. Trujillo, apologies.
Can you hear me? It's rare if people can't, so we'll start with that. So very good. The Special Education Department would like to acknowledge 2 staff members at this month's Board of Education meeting. Thank you for the opportunity to do that. First, we would like to recognize Heather Gray, our Principal of Specialized Student Services, for the Intensive Communication Program, colloquially called our ICP program in Cook County School District 130, for her exceptional dedication and hard work. When this position was first created, our superintendent, Dr. McCabe, recognized that the ICP program required additional support and daily leadership to ensure its success, and the Board of Education at that time graciously supported that initiative. Since the creation of this role, Ms. Gray has consistently gone above and beyond to support our students, families, and staff by developing functional programming tailored to meet the needs of our children in the ICP classrooms. She leads professional development, fosters staff communications, coordinates student services, provides support when classrooms are shorthanded, and actively facilitates fundraising and parent engagement initiatives. She also collaborates and helps to support our Special Olympics program in the district. While Ms. Gray has demonstrated strong leadership, team building, and a commitment to excellence, she routinely and humbly acknowledges that the success of the ICP program is at heart a collaborative effort. This success is made possible by the work and dedication of students, families, paraprofessionals, teachers, staff, building administrators, the superintendent, and of course the Board of Education. Thank you, Ms. Gray, for being a tireless advocate and leader for the ICP program. Your contribution will make a meaningful difference in the lives of our students and families. For acknowledgement number 2, we'd like to recognize Michael or Mike Kaloran. He will never tell us which one he actually prefers, so here on I will refer to him as Mike. For his outstanding support for students, staff, and administrators in our special education department and across the district. Mike plays a key role in developing professional development initiatives and providing guidance and support to our social workers, counselors, speech language pathologists, nurses, special ed teachers, and paraprofessionals. He's known for always being calm and having a calm presence, as well as his good-natured demeanor. Mike fosters a positive and collaborative environment everywhere he goes. Mike consistently brings thoughtful questions and perspectives focused on what is best for the children we serve, demonstrating his unwavering dedication to our students and teams. Thank you, Michael, for your commitment to professionalism and positive influence to our department staff and students. Your contributions also make a meaningful impact on the lives of our student staff and families of our community. Great.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Mr. Dudzik up next, please.
Good evening, everyone. I think we're going to be up here twice. So I'll be reading on behalf of another individual who is recognizing somebody. But I'm here because I would like to recognize Melinda Blanford, Candida Velasco, and Marissa Esparza for volunteering to take on duties of the receptionist during the month of October when we were without a receptionist in the district services office. Ms. Blanford and Ms. Velasco specifically collaborated with me to work out a schedule that allowed them to cover the receptionist desk on a rotating basis during the month of October. Ms. Blanford and Ms. Velasco were able to perform their required work duties while also performing the work of the receptionist. Their efforts allowed office operations to continue without interruption, and their work was greatly appreciated. I think Ms. Velasco is here. Marissa Esparza, or Mrs. Esparza, took on the role of substitute coordinator during this time in October, ensuring that coverage for teacher absences was in place, as well as continuing contacting substitutes, to fill open assignments. Mrs. Esparza worked outside of her regularly scheduled day to monitor absences, communicate with substitutes regarding available assignments, and inform building administrators when coverage was needed for an absence. Mrs. Esparza's efforts allowed for instruction to continue in all our schools when teachers were absent, and her work was greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mrs. Esparza. I'm still up there, okay? So I'm reading this recommendation for recognition on behalf of Debbie Redmore. Ms. Redmore is currently a paraprofessional at Lincoln Elementary School. She had just finished her student teaching at Lincoln about 2 weeks ago, and she has stated it's been an honor to serve both the district and Lincoln students over the years. Her experiences here have encouraged her to pursue a bachelor's degree and work towards becoming a certified teacher, and she's proud to share that she has completed her student teaching more than a couple weeks ago, as of November 21st. So she would like to formally acknowledge and express her deep appreciation for her mentor and teacher, Ms. Janice Lopez. Ms. Redmore previously had the privilege of working along Ms. Lopez as her one-to-one paraprofessional. When planning her student teaching placement, she had hoped to be placed in kindergarten. However, due to staff changes, she knew her next best choice would be first grade, and she was grateful beyond words when Ms. Lopez agreed to serve as her mentor. The impact Ms. Lopez has had on her development as an educator is truly immeasurable. Ms. Lopez's guidance, professionalism, and unwavering support made her student teaching experience exceptional. Throughout her time with her, Ms. Lopez modeled high-quality instruction, clearly communicated expectations, and consistently ensured she felt prepared and confident. Ms. Lopez embodies what it means to be a dedicated, compassionate, and highly effective educator. On days when Ms. Redmore felt uncertain or overwhelmed, Ms. Lopez's encouragement and kindness lifted her up. She patiently answered questions, provided thoughtful feedback, and always created an environment where she felt safe to learn and grow. While many of her classmates have shared stories of challenging placements, she can sincerely say that her experience with Ms. Lopez has been nothing but positive. She has openly shared with Ms. Lopez, my supervisor, and now with all of you, just how fortunate she was to have learned from her. Ms. Lopez is a tremendous asset to Lincoln Elementary in District 130. Her commitment to her students, her professionalism, and her genuine care for those she mentors reflect the highest standards of teaching. In Ms. Redmore's 27 years in early childhood education, Ms. Lopez is truly among the most exceptional educators she has encountered. So Ms. Lopez is unable to attend. She's not able to attend today, but we should probably give her a smile. Ms. Redmore also has a second person that she would like to recognize. Ms. Redmore would also like to take a moment to recognize Ms. Angela Conway, who played an important role in her student teaching experience. During the first few weeks while she transitioned between her paraprofessional duties and her student teaching placement, he had the privilege of working closely with Ms. Conway. Ms. Redmore was truly amazed by the outstanding job she has done as a first-year, first-grade teacher. Her patience, professionalism, and natural rapport with students are remarkable. Every child in her classroom feels valued, supported, and cared for, and her kindness shines through in everything she does. Ms. Conley? No. Let's get Ms. Conley. Just in closing, Ms. Redmore had to scroll out. In closing, Ms. Redmore had to say she feels incredibly fortunate to have learned from two exceptional teachers, Ms. Lopez and Ms. Conway, who both model dedication, compassion, and excellence on a daily basis. Lincoln Elementary and District 130 are truly fortunate to have such talented educators representing our school community. It has been an honor for Ms. Redmore to work alongside us.
Thank you, and congratulations to everyone who was recognized this evening. We're going to move on now to our Student Advisory Board members and the great recognition.
Me and my fellow Student Advisory Board member, Kalia Brown, were nominated this person for showing great leadership, responsibility, respect, and above all, kindness, including all her peers in everything, and making everyone feel extremely happy and grateful to be around her. I would like to congratulate Allison Merriman for winning the Girl Group Award. Selected Roxana Garcia for responsibility, kindness, respect, and leadership, and just being amazing in all that she
And I'm going to speak on behalf of the Kerr Middle School Student Advisory Board members due to extenuating circumstances. They could not be here today, but for the Great Award from Kerr Middle School, the recipient is Angel Roman. Angel Roman was selected by the Student Advisory Board members for showing responsibility, kindness, respect, leadership, and always following the 3 B's at Kerr Middle School by being responsible, respectful, and safe, being an all-around great student and amazing person. So congratulations to Angel Roman. Thank you.
Thank you. So congratulations again to our great students who have received awards this evening. And I would like now to just take a moment to acknowledge that we have a very lengthy agenda, and anyone who was here to receive an award or and also our Student Advisory Board, I'd like to invite them if they would like, that now would be a good time if you want to leave. Otherwise, you can certainly stay for the rest of the meeting. That is, we also welcome that. Do you have a phone you can text and let them know you're ready? Like you can just whenever. All right. See you next month. Bye. Thank you. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'll make sure that it's given to the right people so we can post it. Thank you. Hi. All right. All right, I'm going to pull everyone back into the meeting, please. All right, and I'll turn it over now to Ms. Cano, who will be presenting our Honeybee University graduates. When you're ready.
Sorry, I'm closing the door.
Appreciate that.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alma Cano. I am the director of the Early Childhood Programs here in our district. And again, I come before you with true joy in my heart for another completed cohort of our Honeybee University program. So I am just going to click through a couple of slides here. So I'd like to share with you our intention is really to tell you about the purpose of the Abriendo Puertas Opening Doors curriculum, talk about the 10-week curriculum itself, and then I'll go right into congratulating our graduates who are present and were not able to make it as well. And then I'll tell you a little bit about our next steps. And then I always like to end with some gratitude because nothing is done by just one person. We have a whole team that gets this done. So our Opening Doors curriculum here, the purpose is twofold. Honor and fortify parents with the knowledge, tools, and confidence to support their own children's success and be effective advocates on behalf of their children. And then also to support parents to become champions for children and for their families in their communities. So it goes not just in their home, but beyond their homes. And so the timely curriculum really starts with them and reflecting back on how they were raised as children. And then we go through development. We talk about the power of words. We talk about how we can be healthy in our bodies and in our minds. We talk about math. So the time weeks are listed right up there if you want to take a gander at them. And each week, I think when we start with week 1, it feels a little daunting to the parents because they're like 10 weeks. And then by like week 4 or 5, they're like, oh my gosh, there's only 4 weeks left. And then at week 10, they're like, we want to keep coming. Why can't we just make this a little longer? So at this time, very quick presentation, guys. I'd like to acknowledge our HBU graduates from this round. Not many of them were able to make it today, but the ones that are here, I will ask when you hear your name, please stand. So from our Spanish-speaking group, Ananí Aceves, Angélica Bautista, Yesenia Calderón, Alma Frausto, Cynthia Garcia, who did it twice. She did this cohort twice. Not by force, by choice. Jessica Rodriguez, Soledad Sotelo, Maria Tamayo. On our English side, Maya Diaz, Giselle Escobedo, Vladimir Durand, is that right? He was our only gentleman in the group this time around. Angelica Mesa, Alicia Morris, Dana Sanchez, and she is Rachel St. Ledger, and lastly, Colette Tomei. So this was our largest group of our 6 groups that we've had. And we are excited to share that we have graduated 43 parents through this 10-week curriculum. So that's really exciting news. So here are some pictures so you can see their happy faces because they came in today. That on our left side is our English group, look at those smiles. And then on the right side is our Spanish speaking group that we had join us this time around. So our next steps, this is our new curriculum. However, I've participated in many groups where there's an end to it, and then I feel like I'm left out in this land of where is everybody. So I decided to create monthly meetings, and so I invite all graduates to come back once a month. And we just check in, we might have a little something new that we're going to learn, but the conversations are just for them and how they're also using the curriculum in their own personal lives. So we're going to continue with those. Our next cohort starts in January, so we'll see you again in April with our new graduates from April. And then The last time I was up here, I talked about doing an all dads one, and we're not abandoning it, but we're shifting it, because not everyone can make it during the day for 2 hours, right? People work. So we're doing something called Taste of Honey, and we're gonna invite people to come in the evenings, maybe not for 10 weeks, maybe once a month, but we'll still be sharing information like this, because it's just valuable information for all parents to learn. Special thank you, I've got my list, Ms. Alicia Smith, the principal of Forest Next School. That is where we go with the sessions. Our 3 parent educators at Forest Next, Lisa, Elizabeth, and Ashley. My 4 parent educators from our program who also help recruit families, Abby, Mason, Consuelo, and Maria. Our secretary, Jessica, who helps a lot with some of the printing. Our former, clerk, who is no longer with our program, and who will help us for the beginning part. Maria Cordova, who came as a graduate to be the guest speaker to the new graduate group. That was very lovely. And then Carla and Cynthia also were the guest speakers for the English group. We also had, and I wish he was here today, Giselle Escobedo, one of our graduates this round, allowed us to have their photo booth at the graduation, so everyone's having a boss meeting. We love that happy picture on this side that you saw. She's also willing to rent in schools. This is a little plug for her. Snapshot Social Booth Rental. And then, of course, our superintendent and the board who always allow me to come back up here and celebrate the success of our program and our parents. So thank you so very much. Now, if our graduates would like to meet me out in the lobby area.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we will move on now to our 2025 Illinois Report Card and summative designations, and I'll invite Ms. Del Grosso and Dr. Grayson, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Del Grosso, and I am the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction. And Dr. Grayson and I are here tonight proudly to share with you the summative designations from the 2024-2025 school year. We have several objectives that we would like to cover in our presentation. The first of which is really to kind of summarize the designations themselves. We'd like to review with you ISBE's multiple indicators of student success in hopes of helping everyone to understand the summative designations, and then share with you some specific district level data and the designations themselves. And given the information that we have from ISBE and those assigned designations, we'll then communicate with you the next steps in our continuous improvement process. And then Dr. Grayson will conclude things by kind of sharing with you some of the proposed redesign changes that ISBE has on the table for next year when it comes to these accountability measures. This time I'll turn things over to Dr. Grayson. She'll start with an introduction, and then she'll tell you about the multiple indicators of student success.
Good evening, everybody. And I'm Dr. Grayson. I'm the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services and Accountability. So this is my jam. All right, so in ISBE, under state law, or federal law, we are required to be evaluated and designated every year. So the state of Illinois Board of Education has identified these particular metrics that we will be evaluated against on an annual basis. It is set up under 2 categories. One is academic indicators, as indicated by the Navy, and the other is school quality and student success indicators, which represents 25% of the total amount. When you look at this, and we're going to kind of look at this a little more, you guys stand close to it. Sections 1 and 2, which make the first half, represent student growth. Student growth in ELA, student growth in math. So as you can see, student growth is what the state has identified as the most powerful, most impactful element and metric of the designation. 3, 4, 5 are proficiencies. 3 and 4 are for math and ELA proficiency, which represents 7.5% of the number. 5 is science proficiency for those schools that have 5th and 8th grade. That represents 5%. And then English learner progress to proficiency represents number 6, another 5%. Under school quality and student success indicators, chronic absenteeism represents 20% of the 25, and the climate survey participation represents 5%. So add those all up and you end up with 100%. However, when it comes to our primary schools do not have all of these metrics. So as a result, things are proportionate out in a different way. So I do want to kind of talk about that. So instead of 25% growth, actually, there's no science proficiency, and there's no climate survey at the primary buildings. Those are metrics that aren't even available for them at any point. So ELA growth and math growth go from 25% to 26.8% of the value. When it comes to English language arts proficiency and math proficiency, it goes from 7.5% to 8%. Where again, there is no science proficiency. We do have English language progress to proficiency at our district, given our number of English language learners, and that goes from 5% to 5.4%. When it comes to school quality and student success indicators, our primary students do not participate in the school climate survey. As a result, all of the 25% goes towards absenteeism, chronic absenteeism. Okay, so let's talk about how this is. We have it set up as 5 categories. Okay? They go from the highest ranking to the lowest ranking, with exemplary being the highest, commendable, targeted support, comprehensive support, and intensive support. Now, basically what they do is they calculate all these points, they figure out what your percentage of, what percentage of 7.5 you get, what percentage of 25 you get, add it all up, and you get an indicator summative designated score, okay? That score range is anything from 10, actually from 0, from 0 to 100. Today I found out that the lowest score this past year was 9.6. The highest score this year was 91 point something. So that was the range for elementary schools. This is kind of set up in a very interesting way. What they do is they take every school, take their score, and rank them from the lowest performing to the highest performing. They then look at the lower end. They identify schools that are considered Title I schools or poverty schools, and they look for the bottom 5% of schools. Whatever school hits the top of that 5% without going over, that becomes the magic number for comprehensive. For this year, the magic number is 38.71. Okay? It changes. Last year it was 40 something. It actually went down this year. It was helpful for many schools. Okay? So they basically rank everybody. Whatever the bottom 5% is, if they are going to score a 38.71 this year, they are considered comprehensive. They also rank all the way to the top. And they look at the top for exemplary, okay? And this is the top 10% of all schools. The top 10% ranked are going to be given an exemplary. That magic number ended up this year being 81.98. Okay? Everybody else falls in the middle. So the very first thing they do is they find out what the cut score is at the bottom, what the cut score is at the top. They figure out who's automatically exemplary, who's automatically comprehensive, and then everybody gets put into the commendable category. Slight variation to that for exemplary. Then what happens is they then do this exact same thing for subgroups, for student groups. There are a variety of different student groups that they look at, and they do the exact same thing. Again, the magic score is 38.71 this year. So if you end up with a student group that is scored below a 38.71, you are no longer commendable. You are now moved to targeted support. Targeted support means that you were commendable or exemplary, but you have a student group that was struggling, that was in the comprehensive category. And as a result, the whole school now moves into targeted support. Some examples of subgroups or student groups: children with disabilities, English learners, former English learners, low income, all the different races, okay? Normal races, all of those things represented in the student groups. You need to have 20 students with scores to be able to count as a student group at school. One thing you should know is that the student groups and all student scores are based upon home schools. So, if a student lives in your domicile, and you're going to homeschool, but they are served at another school. So, for example, we have some students who are served in other schools due to bilingual needs. We have some students who are served in different schools due to special ed needs. We have some students that are serving in schools outside of our district. They still are our students. Okay? So we are being accountable for every student who is a public school student who lives in our domicile. All right? So again, intensive support means that you were comprehensive, and you didn't, after 4 years, you're still comprehensive. Then you go into intensive support. All right? So again, basically you sort them out, everybody lines up their will, this group becomes comprehensive, this group becomes exemplary, everybody in the middle is commendable unless you have a targeted student group, and then that student group will be into targeted support. You can be an exemplary school and still end up in targeted support. You can be the highest performing school in the entire state of your overall, and if you have a targeted student group, you are going to be ending up in targeted support. Okay, so let's talk about the big three. The big three are proficiency, student growth, and attendance. That's where the majority of our points come from. So when it comes to proficiency, this is our district's ELA proficiency. Proficiency is measured by the percentage of students who cross the cut score threshold. In prior years, we had 5 levels of proficiency for IAR. ACT and ISA, the Illinois Science Assessment, had 4 levels. So what ISB decided was that, you know what, we shouldn't have 5 levels for IAR and 4 levels for ACT, so they decided to recalculate the cut scores, so we now have the 4 matching categories. This also helps with testing comprehensible across different categories. There's no more IAR not being in alignment with ACT, so now the state is actually measuring growth between 8th grade IAR and 9th grade pre-ACT, because we now have But what did happen is that they did change the cut scores. So it was before that 750 was the cut score for proficiency. Now some grade levels are significantly lower. As they were lower, so the 3rd grade had the greatest difference between the original cut score and the new cut score. So 8th grade had the smallest difference. It seemed like as they got higher in the grade, the cut score got closer and closer to 750. But it did impact both the state. The state is the outer circle. We are the inner circle. Okay? When it comes to math, again, the same thing. The cut scores were shifted to accommodate the fact that we moved from 5 proficiency levels to 4 proficiency levels. And you can see that the state and us both increased as a result. Growth is another one where they rank us all up. So basically, they measured, there's a couple things about growth that I want you to know. Growth is set up as a cohort or a group. So a 4th grader that has a score of a 700 will be compared to the same, in 5th grade for growth, to the same 4th graders in their group that had a 700. So this entire group here of 700s, their growth would be compared to each other, and they would be re-ranked. It is a percentile ranking, meaning that all the 700 students in 4th grade will be re-ranked as 5th grade, so that same group will be ranked lowest performing score to the highest performing score, with the highest performing score getting a 99, and the lowest performing student getting a 1. The state sets the middle, the median, as 50. So the state's growth will always be 50. Forever, because they basically create a bell curve and they move it out like that. So the higher the percentile, the higher the growth number, the more that they will rank with their peers at the same starting point. Okay? So the students at 50, that's what's considered typical. Right smack in the middle, growth in the state. These are our results from the past 2 years. And then here's our results for now. Okay? When it comes to chronic absenteeism is designed as a percentage of students who have been absent for any reason for 10% or more days of the year. That is 17.6 or 176 school day district. The 17.6 is the number that has a student, when they start getting 18 days of absence, they are now considered chronically absent. 10% is the standard. Again, excused, unexcused, it's for any reason. Okay? This also includes partial days. So if a student is tardy an hour every day, those hours add up and become a day, So it is a fractional or decimal value that is calculated for every student out of their membership. It's the number of membership days divided into the number of days that they have been absent. Okay? So you can see, since COVID, the numbers have been much higher. Statewide, much higher. It used to be in the single digit, around 11%. Now, the state is still at 26, 25%. We're slightly above that at 28%. Okay, so how did the district do according to these indicators? So, when it comes to ELA growth, we were at 45.6. When it comes to math growth, we were at 46.3. When it comes to ELA proficiency, we were at 38.3%. When it comes to math, we were at 21.1% of our students proficient in math. In science, again, only 5th and 8th graders take the science assessment. That was at 21.9%. Our EL progress proficiency is a school-based measure. It cannot be done as a district. Okay? And that's how we're measuring the students. The ELs get a baseline number, and how are they progressing to this magic number that they kind of calculate for each student over 6 years. When it comes to chronic absenteeism, as a district, we were at 28.0%, and we had 100% of our students participating, well, it averages, like it rounds up, it was like 95.7% of our students participated in the climate survey grades 4 through 8. So how did that translate out? So when we all sorted it all out, how did that go? So we ended up with 7 schools in commendable. Nathan Hill, Kerr, that's Nathan Hill Intermediate, Paul Revere Intermediate, Paul Revere Primary, Nathan Hill Primary, and George Washington School. This year all received commendable, meaning that they weren't in the lowest 5%, they were in the top 10%, but they also had no targeted student groups. We had 3 schools that were in the targeted support category: Whittier School, Lincoln School, and Nathan Hill Middle School. Whittier is children with disabilities and ELs. Lincoln is Hispanic, ELs, and low income, and Nathan Hill Middle is children with disabilities. So it's kind of a wide range of student groups that are being identified for these particular 3 schools. We have no school in comprehensive support. So now I want to pass it back over to Stephanie Ogroso so she can talk about what our next steps are in response to this.
So given the information that Dr. Grayson shared with us, that's the data, those are the facts, and then we need to decide as a district what's our response in lieu of the designations that we received. We must follow the ISB-defined continuous improvement process, and so in light of that, these are the decisions that we've made. We want to make sure that in the spring of 2026, we revisit and ensure that we have continued alignment to the newly developed district strategic plan goals in 3 core areas of curriculum instruction, culture and climate, governance, and management. We also want to maintain the capacity building efforts that we initiated upon the first time we had these designations from ISB. With regard to capacity building in leadership, we want to make sure that we provide time and the correct amount of resources for the Director of Leadership to engage with leadership capacity building on a monthly basis with our leadership teams. And then we're also participating in the South Cook Intermediate Service Center Leadership Coaching Initiative, utilizing school improvement specialists, and that's how we're using some of the grant money as defined in the grant requirements. We are monitoring the alignment to our newly defined professional learning community structures. Those structures were initially rolled out during this past summer's Administrator Academy weeks of professional learning back in June and July. And we're working to ensure that those structures remain in place so that we have consistency across the buildings. The professional learning community, or PLC as it's sometimes referred to, is really a structure that's in place to ensure that educators are collaborating around student data in a meaningful way. They unpack standards, they define what mastery of those standards might look like. They use common formative assessments, they come around the table with student data continuously, and then decide what to do with students who may not be responding in accordance with how we would best like. And then also how do we respond to those students and ensure that we're meeting the needs of those students who are mastering those standards, right? And then we are also participating in professional learning series that's offered through South Cook Intermediate Service Center. The planning year, as the state refers to it, is the first year that a school is designated. And those schools that were designated last year partook in that particular PD series with their instructional learning teams out in Chicago Heights at the South Cook Intermediate Service Center. And then now what they're doing is those content specialists, those school improvement specialists are coming to the schools to visit the professional learning communities, to walk through the building, to meet with leaders, and to ensure that those school improvement plans are moving forward in accordance with what they would expect. And then the newly designated school, Nathan Hale Middle, actually just began their professional learning series today. And so that instructional learning team kicked off their series. And generally those series are between 7 and 10 sessions long, and they each focus on a different portion of the school improvement planning process. Anywhere from goal setting to unpacking goals that are specific to English learners, to children with disabilities. They look at attendance and all of those indicators that go into play when it comes to assigning these designations. With regard to instruction, we are taking notes on stakeholder feedback. During the strategic plan process back in 2025, last spring, teachers in the curriculum and instruction subcommittee group informed us that it would be of benefit to have more teacher input in the process of planning that professional development, and then kind of having a grassroots effort and having our teachers help to train each other. And so we did put out a survey back in November and gathered teacher feedback to help guide the planning of professional development. And the teachers who responded stated that they liked in-person training and that topics that they wanted it embedded within the school day. And then 2 topics of great interest were digital learning tools and then having the opportunity to collaborate with their department and grade level peers. And so we're working hard in order to plan those activities and those structures in Teacher Institute days. We're moving slowly towards that, provided a lot of time in the upcoming January 5th Institute Day for building level initiatives and allowing teachers time to collaborate, and then the March Institute hopefully even take it a step further. We're also working to amplify efforts to effectively use our vetted resources and utilizing a learning block structure. That is part of the goal setting that we participated in with the regional assistant superintendent, Dr. Perrin, through the school improvement process that we're working through. And so we'll be working with her and her team on the learning block structures and what that looks like for our district. We've extended supplemental mathematics programming. We did a pilot program called Heroes last year, which was after-school math interventions, and we were able to extend that and launch it more officially this year. And actually even, we were able to use grant funding to purchase Blue Streak. Teachers were saying that we had students who, many students are struggling in the area of math fluency, and so we were looking for an additional resource. And so through this program, we're piloting a program called Blue Streak. And so we're hoping to have some really good results with that and gather some teacher feedback on how they like that. We've developed a very draft version of our district literacy plan. Again, this is an initiative through the Illinois State Board of Education that all districts in the state are required to participate in. A team of instructional coaches and district administrators are attending monthly sessions. They're guiding sessions that are helping us to understand the 7 tenets of the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan, which, as you may know, was kicked off a year ago, last January, and so we were required to kind of change a few things, the practices and instruction when it comes to that literacy, and so we did submit for an initial review of our draft literacy plan, and the comments just came off today. And so we'll be looking at our first review of comments and making amendments, and then that draft will then need to come to the Board of Education for approval. Once approved, then we send it into the state for their approval. And that will be happening in the spring semester. Additionally, we're working to refine and extend assessment practices and timely use of balanced assessment data. We've worked to really round out. We've always had, like, obviously, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness has evolved over the years. We've had district benchmark assessments, NWA, iReady, and we've had inklings of common formative assessments. And so we've worked to more formalize the common formative assessment process within the district, starting first with the discipline area of mathematics. We moved into very formally English language arts, hoping to refine that as the years go on. And then science as well. And we'll continue to round that out and build that out as we go. That's a slow process. We are working to get a lot of teacher feedback with regard to that. ELA middle school teachers have refined theirs based on their becoming more and more familiar with the standards and with the product that we're offering. And so that's happening. And with regard to attendance, we are refining the means in which we're using data. We are providing the attendance monitoring reports to identify high-need students. We have participation in the attendance cohort that is offered through South Cook Intermediate Service Center. And we're working to improve family communications through our social media and through Parent Square. Okay. At this time, we'd like to welcome the school level responses. I've kind of summarized for you the district level responses. And so we'll go through the different cohorts. We'll start first with primary. So we have our primary principals join us here. A minute to get up here. All right, so joining us today to talk about the responses that our primary schools are engaging in. We have Ms. Leah Duncan, who is the principal of Power Bear Primary School. We have Ms. Lorraine Tibbetts, who is the principal of Nathan Hale Primary School. And presenting for the group is Mr. Kevin Holtz, who is the principal of Lincoln Elementary School.
Thank you. So as we talked about already, we get 3 big indicators to respond to our rating and our school report card, looking at proficiency, student growth. In chronic absenteeism, I'm going to kind of give a rough idea or like a snapshot of what each of our schools are doing as like a collective whole. So we are analyzing student data to distinguish strengths and areas of improvement to guide instruction, again through PLCs and through other grade level team meetings. We're providing exposure to IAR test questions to develop assessment literacy, because as third graders, this is the first time they're seeing questions like this, so we're kind of giving that exposure a little bit earlier just so they're aware of what it looks like. We're providing small group instruction based on the student data and any data analyzed in our weekly PLC meetings. And then, again, provide exposure to reading and writing strategies at all grade levels, so not just focusing on those third grade students who are being tested in IAR, but providing the exposure to our kindergarten, first and second grade, so they kind of are seeing it as they go through the grades. As far as student growth, we are going to start, we're in the beginning aspects of vertical articulation with domicile administrators and teachers that will analyze IAR data and identify areas of growth to support next grade levels, because like Dr. Grayson said, when our third graders go to fourth graders, it still impacts our primary level. So we need to figure out if we're not making growth, how do we shore that up? We're also going to build reading and math foundational skills that are identified through analyzing math and reading assessments, because we're finding a lot of, like we talked about the fluency, we're missing that piece a lot when they go to fourth grade. So building just the foundational skills and shoring that up, and then identifying students for intervention supports in both math and reading through our reading interventionist and our HEROES math program. And last but not least is our chronic absenteeism. So we have outreach to families via newsletters, phone calls, social media, parent square, any way that we can get a hold of parents. We're trying to get a hold of them to stress the importance of coming to school. We have weekly and monthly attendance incentives that highlight the importance of attending school. And then we have weekly attendance meetings, which we have Monday Matters conversations with our SEL team, our social emotional team, the social workers and counselors, that we are identifying those at-risk students that the reports that are provided to us highlight the kids that are reaching that 10%.
At this time, we'll invite our intermediate school principals up to the podium. I'm going to crunch through the crowd. We welcome to the podium. We have Isabel Santori. She is the principal of Whittier School. Melissa Boyd is the principal at Nathan Hale Intermediate School. We have Diana Ramirez, who is the principal at Paul Revere Intermediate, and presenting for the group will be Danielle Graber, principal of George Washington School.
Hi, good evening. Very similar to the primary buildings, we've been working together to target proficiency in ELA, math, and science for fifth grade. Also student growth for ELA and math, and then chronic absenteeism. So we've been having monthly professional development and along with weekly professional learning communities that focus on evidence-based literacy and math instruction that are aligned to the grade level standards. We also have staff implement high leverage practices, including modeling, guided practice, formative assessments, and differentiated small groups to meet our students' needs, and then leveraging professional development and coaching provided by outside consultants, as well as our instructional coaches in the building that continue to enhance academic effectiveness and rigor with all of our staff. As far as student growth goes, we do have weekly professional learning communities where we are analyzing data constantly, talking about diagnostic and benchmarks, and also our real-time data to identify the trends that are happening in our buildings or within grade levels, guide lesson planning, and align instructions to our students' needs to meet their needs. We do structured reteaching and enrichment blocks, which will address gaps early on. Also, we use standard-based writing, explicit vocabulary instruction. IAR is our aligned reading task, and also math mini lessons that are focused on our undertaught or misunderstood standards. So there's some clarification to help students. And, we do use progress monitoring to track individual student growth and adjust intervention supports during our professional learning communities. So we are constantly talking about our kids, how are they doing, who needs the supports, who's making growth, who could use some additional efforts. So, and as far as chronic absenteeism, this has been a challenge, I would say, for the entire state, but also we've been working on with our schools. We do have daily check-ins with students that come in. We also are having weekly check-ins with assigned mentors or counselors. Our SEL team, so our social emotional learning team, that includes our counselors and social workers, and a color crew to support at-risk students and address barriers with parents through frequent direct communication with them. We also have weekly attendance reviewed with attendance teams. All of us meet weekly with our team to discuss kids that are having struggles getting to school, figuring out what that purpose would be and how we can support. And then monthly and weekly rewards, we're trying to promote strong attendance by informing our families how important it is and our students. We know at the intermediate level that our kids don't get themselves to school, so we are trying to problem solve with people just to get our kids in school and making sure that even if they're late, we're just happy they're there with us. So.
Our final cohort of principals to present will be in middle schools. So we'll invite middle school principals up to the podium, please. And with us this evening, we have Ms. Anne-Marie Mayorga. She is the principal at Veterans Middle School. We have Mr. Greg Hall, who is the principal of Nathan Hale Middle School, and presenting for the group will be Ms. Megan Hill, who is the principal at Everett Kerr Middle School.
Thank you so much. Just as the principals from primary and intermediate stated, we as the middle school cohort also drafted our response with regards to increasing proficiency, student growth, and chronic absenteeism at the middle school level. So our collective responses as to what we're doing at the middle school is to help increase proficiency in ELA, math, and science, include really strengthening our professional learning community structures to analyze common formative assessments, monitor student progress, and evaluate proficiency aligned to IAR priority standards, really focusing on those priority standards relative to the Illinois Assessment of Readiness. Additionally, at all three of our buildings, we are collaborating with our instructional coaches and consultants to plan and deliver high-quality, standards-based instruction informed by IAR data and identified areas of need. For example, vocabulary, numbers and operations, and algebraic thinking were all common themes across our three buildings as well. And lastly, with regards to helping increase proficiency, we have really focused on integrating these IAR release items and practice questions into daily instruction using common assessments for progress monitoring and targeted support for students through differentiation as well as through enrichment. With regard to supporting student growth, because we all know that that is a big percentage of our overall designation as well, at the middle school level, we really focus to increase small group instruction to provide targeted intervention for struggling students, differentiated support and enrichment for our high-achieving learners, utilizing data from formative and common assessments and digital platforms, such as Lexia, iReady MyPath, and multi-level text, to monitor progress, guide instruction, and close learning gaps, as well as building teacher efficacy through ongoing review of student data, regular professional learning community collaboration, and district-provided instructional resources. And lastly, when we think to chronic absenteeism, this is something at the middle school level we have a lot of conversation around as well, and kind of similarly to our peers, we really focused on early identification of at-risk students using prior year data to really work hard at the beginning of the year to get these students in school right away with us. We also have weekly support team meetings to review attendance data, identify students who are at that 2 Tier 3 level, and adjust interventions as needed. We have ongoing monthly and quarterly attendance incentive programs as we continuously track data and try to incentivize attendance and getting our students in our buildings most regularly. And lastly, communication is key, right? Ongoing family communication through phone calls, parents square messages, and administrator-led meetings for students with excessive absences.
Thank you to all of our principals for their efforts towards this continuous improvement process and for their efforts in helping us to prepare this presentation this evening. I'll turn things back over to Dr. Grayson, and she'll talk to you about some of the design changes that ISB has on the table for next year.
So just as we kind of get really good at understanding the metrics, they are proposing a redesign. And actually, the redesign is going to be beneficial. So just to give you a little quick snapshot of what they're expecting. So again, before when we were talking about it, they identified all these different metrics, they were weighted differently, and they added all up. What they've decided to do is they've decided to separate indicators into core indicators and into elevated indicators. So for elementary school, you can see that the core indicators are proficiency, growth, and for high school, it's graduation rate. Meaning that as an elementary district for pre-K 8, we will only be measured for core against proficiency and growth. Okay? So what will happen is that they will take all the proficiency for ELA, math, and science. It is genuinely decided, we did it today, Mr. Hall and I did it today. So basically, we calculate how many students meet the proficiency requirement divided by the total number of students that took one of those tests. So we add up all the math tests that were taken, all the reading tests that were taken, and all these science tests. You realize only a portion of our schools take a science test, so that is not taking the 3 proficiencies and averaging them together. It is genuinely going the number of total proficient students we have in those 3 content areas divided by the number of students who have a score. Okay? Under growth, it's very much the same. We're basically going to take exactly what we've been doing for growth. That's not changing in any way. They're going to take the math and the ELA and average them. Okay? Graduation rate, we don't have to. What's going to happen is that they are now going to identify these 2 categories. They've also changed it into, there's still 5 categories, but they're changing it. So they're now looking at, and this is one of the areas that there's been a lot of feedback to the state about these levels. So these levels may change. So basically they're saying the levels are exemplary, commendable, approaching, developing, comprehensive, and then there's also still that intensive comprehensive category. So they've taken that large commendable section and broken it up into thirds. Okay? So you're going to look at those 2 and now will make your decision. If you have exemplary growth and developing proficiency, you start off at exemplary. It's whatever the best of the 2 are. Okay? So you can have amazing proficiency, or you can have amazing growth, or you can have middling proficiency, middling growth, whatever. But whichever one is the highest, that is the one that you start with. Okay? Then these elevating indicators are going to be able to elevate you up. So if you are commendable or approaching to start, if you have English language learner progress to proficiency, consistent attendance, or climate surveys that meet certain criteria, particularly if you have 2 exemplaries, that's going to bump you up a level. Or if you have an exemplary and a commendable, that will bump you up a level if you're on the lower end. So if you are a commendable school, you have your core indicators, you are a commendable school, and none of your subgroups are comprehensive. Okay? You will be commendable. But if you have exemplary English learner progress and consistent attendance, because they're going to flip it a little bit, it's going to be now 80%. We're thinking in the positive spin. Say things in the positive way. Instead of identifying the negative, it's now like 88%. If you're 88%, have 88% of your students regularly attending school, you'll get exemplary in that category. Those 2 categories, or any 2 of the 3 at exemplary, will bump you from commendable to exemplary. It can no longer, student attendance will no longer harm us, so I'm saying will no longer impact us in a negative way, but improving our attendance, and I'm going to tell you that our English language progress to proficiency for many schools have been very high. And actually, as I've been kind of putting them into the calculator for other schools, many of them are showing up as high commendable or exemplary for many of our schools. So that is a great thing. So again, they're basically looking at us for proficiency and growth. You will get the higher of the 2. Then you will have the 3 other indicators that might get you even bumped up higher. The big challenge, though, will be if you end up with a student group, one of those student groups, that ends up being comprehensive, the highest you can be is approaching. Okay? That does automatically, there's no longer targeted support as a category. You would be approaching, and then you would end up going into a school improvement cycle. So if you end up in comprehensive, you will go into a comprehensive school improvement cycle. If you end up with a subgroup, or the student group that is comprehensive, you will go into targeted school improvement. The school improvement cycles are not going away. Those will remain, but they're no longer called targeted support, and they will comprehensive will still be comprehensive. So this is something that the state was hoping that they were going to be bringing to the January or February state board meeting. They are not. They're doing a couple more feedback sessions. We have till January 7th to submit additional feedback. I did go to Huntley. I drove all the way to Huntley and back in a day so that I can hear it in person and raise my hand and speak directly to the people at ISB, including the superintendent who was there, and communicate my concerns or communicate what I liked about it, in addition to fill out forms. So that was actually a really great opportunity to hear from Ray's mouth and listen to exactly, and so hear her response also to when we talked about this is going to be difficult. What happens if you're a K-3 school, right? So think about our K-3 schools. They do not have this as a possibility at all. So how are they going to deal with it? If it requires 2 indicators, 2 elevating indicators to get you to bump up, is that fair? Is it fair to those schools? And what happens if you don't have this situation? But what happens if you are at an elementary school, a primary school, that have no climate survey and don't have enough English learners? You don't have an English learner subgroup. Now you have only 1 indicator that you could possibly use to elevate your score. How are they going to deal with it? That's something that popped up over and over again. So they're having to kind of talk about that. But this is a very big shift in terms of how we're going to be looking at it. Again, proficiency and growth are going to become increasingly important. It's going to align very much to what is expected. But we have these opportunities to elevate, and these are going to be opportunities for us to really get it. Attendance is going to be an opportunity for us to raise our score. Okay? Then our ELPTP has actually, many of them are, at least most of them are commendable, or even some of them are exemplary. So that might help us as well. Okay? So this is supposed to go to, well, right now the expectation is that this will go to the state board in April. They are intending to use this for next year. So our data right this minute will be measured against this metric. And that was why it was so important that I attend, so that I could sit here. I didn't want to be measured in a metric that I wasn't aware of until suddenly it passed in April, right? So, and actually today, because Greg and I went to South Cook today, we actually received the calculator, and I'm sitting there kind of punching numbers in to see if 2025 data, what would be our designation using the new, just to kind of give us an idea of where it's going to help us and where we need to rethink some things. And so that's what I've been doing this afternoon, is starting to crunch some of that number, because, you know, that's what I like to do.
All right, so just to review, the objectives that we were hoping to accomplish in the presentation were to give you information about ISB's summative designations, to communicate the next steps given that data that we were provided, and then to talk a little bit about what are the proposed redesigns for ISB for next year. So thank you so much for your time, and that concludes our presentation.
All right, thank you. Do any members of the board have any questions about this presentation? That was a lot, and it's a lot to take in. Thank you. Dr. McCabe will share a copy with board members, but are there any questions right now in the room?
I have a couple of questions.
Please.
Thank you for this presentation. I understand a lot more than I did a couple hours ago. I know absenteeism is huge. I don't think that's a secret. I do just want to say thank you to the schools for the fun, like, little incentives that you guys are doing. I really think that's enticing some of these kids to come. In one of my child's school, they did tatted teacher events where they got to take little, like, the removable tattoos, and they, wonderful teachers, agreed to allow these students to tattoo, which you don't want to see their teacher with, you know, a sunshine tattoo or whatever they were. So thank you all for that. I guess one of my questions is, just looking at these numbers, the 21% math proficiency, 38% for ELA, that's extremely concerning. Only 21% of our students district-wide are proficient in math. We have a math coordinator and a math consultant. I would really like to see them utilized more and kind of, you know, focus more on those groups. Which leads me, I guess, my question is, how often are these consultants going into the schools and focusing on our schools that are targeted to provide our teachers or faculty the support?
So part of the Title III grants, the school improvement grant money, when the state puts out a grant, they will help us to spend that money accordingly. And so what they'll do is they'll give us certain parameters within to work in. And so the targeted schools, or the schools receiving school improvement funds, are receiving learning partner services. And part of that, for some of them, will be additional days with the math consultant, Sharon Rapp. It needs to be approved by the state. They have to go through a vetting process. And so luckily, the same consultant that we use, so there's a level of consistency across the district. The same consultant being used in all schools is also being able to provide additional services through that school improvement grant to the targeted schools. We have 37 days drafted for her across the district in our Title I grant, and then the regional assistant superintendent helped us to craft a plan where she's able to then provide additional days through the Title III school improvement grant. So that is in keeping with that. Additionally, that's what we're using the learning partners for the specialist through the Southbrook Area Service Center. Those folks, we have 5 of them who are former principals, and they work with the regional superintendent's office in order to provide leadership capacity building. And so that's how they're helping to provide guidance to our building leaders in ensuring that we're using student data to its fullest and making sound instructional decisions based on how our students are performing.
Thank you. I guess a follow-up question to that is how often is our coordinators following up to promote and ensure efficacy, of what these consultants are bringing to the table?
Yeah, so we have a couple of checkpoints that are built into that. Personally, I meet with the consultants on a regular basis. It's generally on a monthly or bi-monthly basis where I'll meet with them and do kind of just a check-in where I'm reviewing they're keeping logs, consultant logs, so I understand what we're doing, reviewing agenda points, providing teacher feedback and looking at trends or challenges, some wins and celebrations. And then additionally, we'll have the coordinators themselves will be attending the professional development that is provided or attend the meetings out there as well that they are doing. So it is a layered approach, but we keep close tabs and we are in close communication with our consultants. We just did a 7th grade science check-in with Dr. Baker, the science consultant, where the coordinators and I were meeting with the 7th grade teachers and the consultant and kind of reviewing the outcomes of the time that they spent with her. Reviewing their agendas, talking about some of the strengths that she saw when she was in the classrooms, talking about how the product itself, Amplify, which is a vetted district resource that was selected through a process including a number of teachers. Any product that we purchase will not be a one-stop shop and be able to address all of the standards. And so what she's working to do is specifically identify with our teachers the practices that need to go along with the actual teaching of the content itself and helping us to develop a very aligned curricular guidance document. And then the teachers are working alongside her to identify the gaps in that resource so that we can then utilize
that data to spend grant monies more appropriately next year and supplement the curriculum as necessary.
Is this positive feedback being shared with the teacher? Like a little positive praise goes a long way. Are our teachers hearing this positive praise?
So she went through and kind of went through all of the wins and the great things that she saw in the classrooms. And then we reached out to them, and one of the questions we asked was, I said, what's going well, and then what are your challenges? And one of the things that was going well was the fact that we have that new curriculum available, that product, but then now they're able to learn the practices themselves. A challenge that was presented was that sometimes the vendors oversell their product, and so they'll say that it is a one-stop shopping, but it's not necessarily so, and we don't know that until we get it and start living within that piece. And so there's something called flex extensions in Amplify, for example, where it doesn't necessarily come with all of the materials. And so the science teachers were like, hey, can we now get grant money or money spent to supplement what we have in order to do these flex extensions? So it's nice to meet with them and then be able to kind of hear what they need. But the celebrations, to answer more specifically your question, she did go over all of the positives that she did see, yes.
So she goes over them with the teacher. Like she's not just going to sit down and discuss it with just the principal. Does the teacher get to hear the positive, like, you did great teaching that kid how to do that multiplication?
Yes, and so the consultants also, so not only do they do like a pre-brief session, but they'll also do a debrief session. And so they'll set that, if it's a modeling session, a demonstration, if it's a co-teaching piece, they'll meet before and after that experience, and we have our instructional coaches sit down with teachers and help design that experience, because it looks different in each classroom and across the buildings. And so they'll get to craft what they need from the consultant based on their communications with the instructional coach. And so they design that agenda, and the consultant will follow that agenda when they get to that school. But there is information and feedback shared with the teachers themselves, as well as over time looking at trends. Our principals have been amazing at actually attending the consultants' time within the buildings this year, kind of making sure that they're in the classrooms or attending the pre-brief and the debrief sessions, so that they too can be involved in hearing all the great things that are going on in our classrooms.
Thank you. It sounds like math is at least headed in a positive direction. But for ELA, and I'm sorry if I should know the answer and I don't, do we as a district is there an ELA coordinator? Does a position like that, I'm sorry, I meant consultant. Does a position like that even exist?
So the ELA consultant, we are starting slow with. It is new this year. We wanted to take the model that we've had success with Ms. Rack, where she does a curriculum audit alongside the teachers. She built the common formative assessments with the teaching staff, and then refined it with the staff, and then now goes out and models and keeps current with research. So that's a model that has been working. It's refined. Curriculum is a living, breathing thing. And so that model then we're trying to replicate in other discipline areas. And so the consultant that we've hired just this year through grant funds is Megan Hargrave. She is a former teacher years ago from Wilmette in the northern suburbs, but after being a very successful teacher, she then went on to Columbia University. And she worked through the Teachers College at Columbia University and was able to provide teacher guidance, teacher professional learning, and then opened up her own company and came back to Illinois. And so she's since now, recently after we had to move to Minnesota, but can't take care of herself. But she is currently, we want to start with our core group of instructional coaches. And we started there because I mentioned earlier in the presentation that Illinois has moved over to the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan. So that really follows, that's Illinois' way of saying it's the science of reading. They've adopted that approach to literacy instruction, which was different, in all honesty, from the approach that we had taken in the past, because we were more of a balanced literacy district, and so which many districts were. So we were in the need then of transitioning our curriculum over to more in keeping with the Illinois Comprehensive Literacy Plan. Ms. Hargrave, Megan Hargrave, is very skilled in that area and has started with the coaches and is working through on a regular basis, monthly and sometimes weekly. She's in with them, and she comes in person. She does virtual sessions. I want to say tomorrow's virtual, or today was virtual.
Today was in person, the full day with her.
Yeah, okay. And so what's happening there is they pick apart those tenets of the literacy plan, and they talk about those instructional shifts that need to occur. What we're working on through right now is a little bit of a sticking point in this small group instruction. And so we want to make sure that we are conducting those small instructional groups in a manner in keeping with what best practice is currently telling us. And that's targeted, skill-based instruction in small groups. So that's the model that we're going to take. We're going to start with our instructional coaches and make sure that foundation is laid. They do take that information out and serve as our liaison and provide professional learning and modeling to the teams, not just in those professional learning communities, but also in coaching cycles following the student-centered coaching model.
That model sounds like it could be really beneficial. Is the idea then maybe to take that model and utilize it in other?
In science, yes. And then we'll work our way through, just trying to make sure that we don't move too fast or too impulsively, because we want to make sure if there's a course correction needed that we're keeping a pulse on it and we can, change it as necessary.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from the board? Okay, thank you so much for your presentation. We will move on now to our safety operations. This is Mr. Farr, Ms. Moreno, Mr. O'Shea, and Ms. Tisch.
Good evening, everyone.
Gotcha. Oh, perfect. Thank you.
I have the distinct pleasure to introduce our District 130 Operations Safety Team. So I'm going to call them up, and they're going to be standing here, and then towards the end of the presentation, if you have any questions, we do have the right directors up here that you will be able to ask, and that they will be able to answer. So our safety operations team involves our Director of Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Bill O'Shea, our Director of School Safety, Mr. Jeffrey Farr, our Director of Digital Technology and Communication, Ms. Jessica Greenberg, she's not with us today, our Director of Technology, Ms. Kim Hauser, Mr. John Dudzik, our Director of Human Resources, Ms. Lucy Moreno, the Assistant Superintendent for Business and Finance, and myself, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources. So what we're going to present today is a little bit about what this team has done so far, when it started, where we're at today, and then we're going to roll it into a brief proposal regarding doors and access key cards for our district. So as you look up at this slide, I want you to look at some of the things that we have done here, this team. We meet bi-weekly. We've met so far since the summer, pretty much in August we started. And this is the history of what we've gotten accomplished thus far. So we've strengthened emergency communications and building level safety operations by improving the cellular coverage, transitioning to more reliable carrier, testing upgraded two-way radio systems, updated our visitor management tools, and standardized front office security procedures. We also have evaluated and planned for surveillance and access control systems through a comprehensive review of existing cameras, costs and limitations, engagement with multiple vendors, and development of multi-year strategy to expand on standardized interior and exterior camera coverage using non-proprietary solutions. We've also advanced compliance and long-term safety planning initiatives by exploring silent panic alarm solutions to meet Alyssa's law requirements. We've researched grant opportunities, collaborated with regional technology leaders, and solicited proposals to enhance district-wide access control infrastructure. So, at our last board meeting in November, the Board of Education has approved a security and staffing policy. I'm going to read that to you so that you can hear what that policy entails. The district has an urgent need to address building security and security staffing. The Director of School Safety has provided specific recommendations to the board in the areas of security, infrastructure, and security staffing. The board shall allocate no less than $1 million and up to $2 million in additional discretionary funds from the fiscal year 26 budget towards the implementation of security infrastructure and the hiring of additional security staff in fiscal year 26, in line with the specific recommendations provided to the board. So with that comes a proposal that this team has put together. And that team has looked at a lot of this information. When we first started talking, we really started looking at our communications, which was our cell phones, and we moved then into looking at the cameras and placing them now in hallways instead of just on the exterior. After the September board meeting, following that feedback from a board meeting, the safety operations team turned our focus to exterior doors and secure vestibules across all buildings, including the addition of key card access systems. Over the past few months, the team solicited vendor quotes to upgrade building access control with a district-wide focus on exterior door security and secondary interior security doors. A building-by-building proposal including vendor quotes and estimated costs have been provided to all board members for review. The Director of Safety, Mr. Jeffrey Farr, has prepared facilities maps identifying all building entrances and proposed access points available for the board to review. The Director of Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Bill O'Shea, collaborated with the district's construction manager to develop cost estimates for single and double exterior doors with access key readers. So the rest of this presentation reflects the information gathered and analyzed by the safety operations team to support the board's consideration of enhanced student and staff safety measures. The proposal will estimate costs are provided on the next few slides, which Ms. Lucy Moreno will be speaking to. Or try to. And I think she's getting sick too. So here we go.
All right, so as Ms. Tish had mentioned, we broke down every school of what the needs are in regards to double doors and single doors, along with access door key panels. We did an alpha order, so first is Kerr Middle School. They would need 14 double doors and 19 key panels for a total of, an estimated total of $306,200. George Washington would need 12 double doors, one single door with 6 access door key panels, totaling $269,700. Horace Mann Early Childhood School would require 2 double doors, 1 single door with 3 access door key panels for $59,900. Lincoln Primary School would require 8 double doors, 4 single doors, and 8 access door key panels for a total of $229,200. Nathan Hill Intermediate School would require 6 double doors and 7 access door key panels, totaling $139,400. Nathan Hill Middle School would require 7 double doors, 15 single doors, and 22 door key panels for a total of $374,100. Nathan Hill Primary School would require 6 double doors and 9 access door key panels for a total of $144,600. And part of your intermediates would require 20 double doors and 2 access door key panels for an estimated amount of $490,200. Powder River Primary School would require 6 double doors, 1 single door, and 5 access door key panels for a total of $145,900. Veterans Memorial Middle School would require 9 double doors, 5 single doors, and 6 access door key panels for a total of $255,900. Lastly, we have Whittier Intermediate School with 12 double doors needed, along with 8 access door key panels for a total of $263,200. So the grant total, if we add all the schools and what the needs are, it would amount to almost $2.6 million. Mind you, this does exclude any architectural, environmental, and unforeseen fees or costs. A lot of our buildings are older, and there's caulking that has, may have, things that have to be remediated, and yeah, we would have to take care of it.
So after sharing this information and following the direction of the policy, the Board of Education approved at the November 2025 special meeting, the operations team created an estimated proposal for these doors and access cards for this December's board meeting as an action item to be approved.
And I would also add, we do have an informational item. I've been working on the 2026 tentative budget amendment to be able to work with, the funds to make some of this happen. As Carrie mentioned earlier, the policy is a minimum of $1 million to a maximum of $2 million. So I've been working on that as well.
And we do have our directors of safety, we have our director of technology, and our director of building grounds, if you do have any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from the board? I do have some questions, if others do not. I would like to just kind of revisit the process for gathering quotes. As I understand, this project has not gone off to bid, so could you kind of walk me through the vendor selection process and the process of gathering quotes? And maybe as part of that, you could explain how what's in the folder differs from the information the board was given in our meeting packet for this evening.
Sure. So we have a construction management firm retained, Shamrock Construction. One of the services they offer to us is cost estimate. So I approach them and I say, hey, we're going to take on a door project. Can you give me cost estimates for what we're calling double set of doors, which is this entrance here, versus a single set of doors, which is that back door over there. I give them the specifications based on what we've done in the past. So it's hollow storefront aluminum doors, steel, no vision panels because we're going for security. So they take that information. They went to several of our school sites. I went with them. They brought a door contractor with them. It's a door company we've used in the past, J&L Doors. They walked with them and they were able to put together a cost estimate based on the information I provided them. So for the 2 sets of double doors, just the doors, hardware, frames, closures, crash bars, mullions, we're looking at $17,000 for a double set of doors. A single set of doors is half of that, it's $8,500. The labor they came up with is based on union wages currently right now for trades, so that's where we get $3,200 from. And then the access control has a range based on what the Board of Education chooses once access controls are presented to you guys. There's a cheap system, it's $1,800, and then the range goes to, I want to say it's $2,300 or $2,600. That's that range you're seeing on that page.
Okay.
How much of this cost can we get from grants?
We have looked at grants, so we were going to continue to look at grants. Actually, also on the board packet, there is the school maintenance project grant, which I can get a maximum of $50,000. And it's a dollar for dollar grant in regards to that specific grant. But it's only $50,000.
So just to be clear though, this is an estimate from one company. When we go out to bid, presumably the next step would be go out to bid given the cost of the project. We could receive a range of estimates from other companies. Is that correct?
This goes out to bid and they build the spec. Obviously it goes live. Companies have the opportunity to bid on it. This is just to give you a number so you know when they come back, there's not sticker shock, we usually get a number like, okay, we're close or we're a little off. That number's going to be pretty close to what we're going to pay.
Okay.
But are we getting ahead of ourselves here? We still have a facility master plan out there that we paid a considerable amount of money for. Shouldn't we be waiting for that to come back first to determine what we're going to do with buildings, if we're putting money into buildings that we're no longer going to keep, or have a different direction on what this master plan is all about?
That would be a decision the Board of Seven would have to make. I was just directed to gather the numbers and present to the Board of Education.
I think given that the board did a security threat assessment in 2023, we honestly are about 3 years behind.
I understand that,
this
but also
product happen.
safety's priority one, but we're paying for a facility master plan, and we're kind of circumventing the facility master plan. Why are we having them still do it if we're going to come up with our own plan?
Understand, but I think securing our buildings should be paramount importance. The
It is.
security master plan, Mr. O'Shea, could you remind me of what the time frame on that is?
We're looking at October of 26.
Okay. But before we receive any information and are able to make a decision to move forward, is that right?
Our architect said he would offer a checkup for the board, if you guys wanted. So what they did right now is they just finished the health, life, safety. We have open tickets that go back 10 years, so they just finished that portion of it. Now they moved on to the physical facility side, so they look like the nuts and bolts of the building. Once they get through that, they would come back to the board and present what they found so far. So that's probably sometime after February or March.
Okay. And I would love to hear an update. I think everyone would, but I still think security really should have happened yesterday. Security should have happened 3 years ago, 10 years ago, 25 years ago. We should secure our buildings now. I see no reason to wait for a security assessment or a facility
That's for
assessment.
all seven of us to decide, because we're spending a substantial amount of money for this master plan. If we're not going to use that master plan, let's cancel the contract.
I think we'll still use the master plan, but I see
What
no
if they
reason.
come back with, they want to go a different direction, we just did? Are we going to keep some of these buildings for $500,000 over what was budgeted, you put in there for 1 to 2, and actually there's discussion if that meeting was valid or not, so we have to discuss in
We have
executive
discussion
session.
by you.
So, I have the legal paper here, I'll show you. So when this comes up, I'll just vote to table it, because we need to get some more information on what we're going to do first.
I really think that security is of paramount importance.
I think there's 7 people.
I understand there's 7 people.
Okay, well, let me put my opinion in then too, Frank, because this is getting ridiculous. Our kids' safety has to be number one. I understand what you're saying about how maybe we're wasting money by doing this, but we have an obligation to protect everyone in our buildings.
Without fail, priority one is the people that walk in this building, whoever they are, should walk out the same condition they come in. I'm just seeing a $2.5 million expenditure, and where we got a master plan out there that we're spending a substantial amount of money for, that we really don't have if they're going to tell us to rip this out. That's my concern.
So what I'm hearing you say is you want to wait to do this
No.
for another year and a half-ish.
At minimum.
Before we make safety a priority.
No, can we push this out? Should we cancel that? You heard me ask that.
No, I don't think we should.
I think these are two
cancel that.
completely separate conversations.
Not that, the facility master plan, should we cancel that and go our direction here when we went on safety? Safety's priority one, without fail. But we're doing 2 different things here with 2 different companies. Are we hurting ourselves with the monies we're using?
What do you mean we're doing 2 different things?
We're waiting for a facility master plan to say, how are we thinking to be secured? But now we're stopping that plan, we're coming up with a plan here that is presented. That's what I'm concerned about. We've spent a ton of money for this here. Are they going to say the building's too old, we have to pull it out? Again, safety is number one here. You need to walk out of the building the same way you came in. But we need to find a way to where we may be not putting something in and then having to pull it out. That's my concern. If we could push this plan up, that'd be great. If we could get it in a month or 2, could they push it up for us?
I can talk to them.
I mean, it needs to be right. It needs to be now, not later, and we don't have time for that. If we're not going to get an answer from them, shelf them and go with the program that's here.
I still, as I understand for the security plan, the facilities plan, I'm sorry, I keep misspeaking. The facilities plan is a roadmap for the next 10 years of the district. Is that roughly accurate?
Correct. It'll tell you the viability of your infrastructure, whether you should dump money into this building versus this building. It might yield, you have to close certain buildings. That's kind of what that's going to project.
But in the meantime, we're still doing basic maintenance on all of our buildings. We're still keeping the lights on all of our buildings. And I think, and I'm making the argument to the Board of Education here, that we should be securing all of our buildings in the meantime while we are waiting for this plan to give us some guidance and direction on the next 5 to 10 years of the district. Are there any other questions about the proposal, anything that was presented here this evening? I have a question. Could you kind of walk us through, if we were to move forward, what the next steps look like? What does the bid process look like? What's the time frame? Could you kind of walk through what comes next?
If it gets approved here tonight, then we have to check with the construction management firm. They would allow our architect to need drawings for this, and it would get formally bid out. Ideally, it would be best to get it out in January, especially if we wanted to do this for summer of '26. Currently, these doors are 4 to 6 weeks out. The closer we get to summer, the further out they get. Last year, some school districts around us waited until March and April to plan door projects, and their doors were 16 to 22 weeks out. So the faster you move on, when you bid and all that, the faster you get your doors. So yeah, the next step would be to formalize it into a bid, goes out to bid, the bids come back. Our construction management firm will vet them along with our architect, and we'll put it on a list, and that will be the recommended list for the Board of Education to make their decision.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions?
We had a threat assessment plan, and they're talking about those in certain schools, and we put $300,000, $500,000 into a building that was closed.
Again, we continue to do regular maintenance on buildings. I see security as a regular maintenance that keeps every member of the staff, every student in this building safe. I see no reason to hold off. It's a relatively small amount of money. We're looking at an $80 million budget next year. I don't know why we can't secure our buildings now and still continue to look into long-term facilities planning. We can walk and chew gum at the same time.
We feel we need to investigate more than just right now. I mean, we're talking a month, 2 months to discuss this. We don't need to do it today.
We could continue to discuss this. As Mr. O'Shea said, the longer we wait, the more likely we are that order for door would be delayed.
A month or two won't hurt. We could look into it and talk to that. Our threat assessment and see, push that forward and see if their opinion, just see where we're at with it. We need to do this today for $3 million.
I'd be curious to hear from other members of the Board of Education.
I feel they would wait on it also, if we could get them in here in a week or two, do a special meeting, if we could cancel the contract with them. Why am I doing all this stuff in there? The concern is putting money in the buildings that we're no longer going to keep. That's the concern I have. And we're not just, that's the major concern. Some of these buildings are not going to be around here.
We spent a lot of money for that assessment. What's the point?
I'm sorry, which assessment are you talking about now?
The threat assessment we just had before you were on the board.
Right, the threat assessment 3 years ago, where there has been virtually nothing done. I am proposing that we do doors right now. Doors are so important for keeping our children safe. The threat assessment was done 3 years ago. Why were doors not done 3 years ago? I don't have an answer for that, but I'm a parent in the district, and I am livid about that.
Just asking, see where we're at.
The Board of Education? Let's ask them why the doors have not been done.
The people that we paid all our money for the threat assessment, what's going on?
It's not up to the people who did the threat assessment to tell the board to put secure doors in. I don't think that our children's safety and security immediately needs to wait for a long-term facilities assessment. I don't think we need to go back to look at the threat assessment to know that doors and access control panels will contribute to a more secure environment for literally everyone in these buildings every day. I feel very strongly about this, especially given just kind of the news over the weekend. I feel very strongly that our children need to be safe and secure, and I would like to vote on it tonight.
I do want to say, I truly hear what Frank and Bill are saying about kind of spending money on a building that we may not have. On the flip side of that, I have 3 kids in our district right now. And I think this is something we have to do, especially given, what occurred over the weekend too. And it's been all over the news. I think this is one of the things where we have to do. Is it going to sting our pocketbook in a couple of years when maybe we do decide to sell this school? Possibly. But the here and now, I feel that this is important. This is what we need to do.
If we fail it, give it 1 week, find out if we can cancel these people, and then get it right back on the agenda. That's all I'm asking for, is to have some dialogue. If we could get rid of this firm, save that money, and go right into what we need to do. That's all I'm asking for, or a couple days. If you can put it, if Bill can get an answer, you can get rid of this master plan, put these doors in, let's do it.
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think we need to cancel the master plan in order to put security doors in. I see them as very separate projects with very different outcomes.
What they're doing is they're working on same or similar, telling us about put these doors in there, we're wasting that money.
We can update them and let them know, don't worry about the doors in your master plan, we will cover that.
We don't know where they're at, that's all I'm asking, find out where they're at, give it a day or two, have another meeting Monday or Tuesday. Yes, safety's not going, I'm not gonna, you're right, but let's find out on this first, and then let's get to it right away. I'm only asking for a couple days. Just that we could, if they can't come up with something, we'll go with it. But all this money we put into this, I don't want them to reverse the work we did and say, well, that's not the right way to go. That's the problem I have. And again, every person should walk out of this building the same way they come in. You're absolutely 110% correct. But when you're paying for one person and we're doing work for another person, does that make sense?
I hear what you're saying, but again, Mr. O'Shea, could you speak to maybe what will be entailed in this facilities assessment with regard to life safety and kind of what percentage are we maybe stepping in front of here with the access indoor proposal?
I think just as far as an infrastructure standpoint, that's what they're going to look like. Like say themselves kind of the viability of the building, right? If you remember when Jacob made his presentation, he talked about commercial buildings, which is what a school is considered ultimately. It's a commercial facility. The shelf life or lifespan of that is 50 to 70 years. At that 50 or 70 year mark, you're going to do a major overhaul of that facility. So that's your MEP, your mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and then you're going to start looking at your roof, your windows, major upgrades. So that by the time you get to year number 100, you're doing aesthetics at that point. And 5 of our facilities right now, they were built in place and haven't been touched. There have been minor upgrades made to them, whether it's been an HVAC unit here, some doors put in here, but in conversations with our construction manager, our architect, the contractors we use, we fall short in a lot of areas, and that's what the architect's going to hopefully present to you guys. We're not unique with the school district, just did something very similar. Their architect came back with $33.6 million worth of work they have to have done to bring their facilities just up to code. And remember, that's just building code, safety, ADA compliance, fire marshal, building code. It's nothing beyond what the district wants. So, and I've said this to the Board of Education, I'll say it to everybody here, I think you guys are going to have to make some very difficult decisions when that comes back. I think it's going to be a shock to the community. Our buildings are in rough shape.
Okay, understood. Could we move forward with doors and access panels this evening and then inform our architects? We are moving forward with this project. Adjust your assessment as appropriate to account for this. I feel like we could move forward now, get ourselves in line for these doors in summer 26, and still get our money's worth out of this facilities assessment in October when they are complete.
Lucy, what about the 600 grand we're short? What are we doing there?
I would have to, I'm just following the policy that was approved in November 18th. I don't know
We're gonna have to.
Being that this is the estimation of what the total amount is for all the schools, I would leave it up to the Board of Education to decide how we're going to proceed.
We're gonna have a special meeting and to change that number from 2 million to 260, 270, so we can capture that. So we're gonna have to wait a day or two, whatever it takes to wait another meeting together to find out we're gonna get that 600 grand, or you're gonna have to piecemeal and figure out which school's not gonna get 600 grand, but there was multiple ones that were different numbers.
Or we could wait till the estimates come back so that we have real numbers that we are dealing with, and then we could hold, the appropriate special meeting at that time.
How soon before the real estimates can come back here?
You guys would have to approve it tonight so that I can get with them to send out a formalized bid. Once they send out a bid, it's for 10 days.
But then they still have to create the bid and
So it's
compile it. It usually takes
It's realistically like a month, maybe a month and a half for them to get the drawings. They would have to get the maps from Mr. Farr to know the exact locations of the doors. Sometimes contractors ask if they can come out pre-bid so they can at least look at what they're getting themselves into. It's really important to note in there too, it said it did not include any environmental fees. Our buildings, a lot of them are circa 2001, so there's asbestos and lead in some of the caulk joints and masonry joints. That's not accounted for in those costs. So if they come in and a contractor wants that tested, we have to pay to have that tested. That is going to be outside of the scope of work. They will leave contingency for us in there, but it's probably going to fall way short of what it is. So the board's going to have to be able to adjust on the fly and account for if they cut into a door opening and the mortar has asbestos, that all has to be remediated or encapsulated before they put in the door.
So
the other concern I have is if it comes to a piecemeal building, who's going to determine what building? Because whatever building, if we don't get them all, we're going to get hung out to dry because we didn't capture all of them. That's another concern I have.
as I understand, our 26 budget has some projects that we don't necessarily need to move forward on. We could reallocate funds. I think we can find in our $80 million budget, $500,000 to complete a safety and security project. I really, truly think we could find those funds. I think this is of utmost importance. And I think we need to start now because it sounds like if we give approval tonight, we could maybe have estimates back in time for January. At the latest, February, our board meeting, we could approve them and we could get ourselves in line for doors for summer 26. And our children could begin the new school year in secure facilities. And I just feel very strongly that this is the right thing to do. It is not, you can't put a price on this really when you're talking about the security of your children.
I'm concerned about putting money into something that we have to reverse. The only concern I have, because the taxpayer is not going to be happy that if you're reversing course, you're with safety, I understand, priority one. But if money falls short down the road for other things, with these buildings being as old as they are, those are some real issues.
Again, I think people who are paying attention are wondering why the board did not act on this 3 years ago when the threat assessment came out.
Can I just add something else too? In regards to being, if there is a maximum of $2 million for the policy, it also included staffing. So in the tentative budget, like in the breakdown in your budget, I did a lot, like $300,000 up to $2 million into safety staffing as well.
So you may have to consider that too when you're thinking.
Additional adjustments, sure, of course.
Is this something, I truly hear Frank's concern. Is this something, can we, I guess, maybe this is a question for you, Bill, to share with our architect, like this is what we're thinking about doing and see, he's been in our buildings, he's looked around, it's his profession, and just get feedback from him. I do wholeheartedly agree, all of our buildings need to be secured no matter what. Maybe one school might look different than the other school. I'm talking out loud. Can we get feedback from our architect on this?
His recommendation was he would suggest starting with the 3 newer schools, which would be Lincoln, George, and PRP. He said if you were going to do anything first, he would start in those 3 newer schools because they were all built in 2001. And they don't require nearly as big a lift as some of the other schools. And then, I can certainly reach back out to him and kind of pick his brain about some other sites see what his recommendation would be.
The contractor that's gonna do all this work, we're not gonna have every school under construction at the same time, right? This contractor's gonna go from one to another to another?
Yeah, it'd be however they set it up in construction plans. So ideally they would.
One contractor.
Yeah, there was one door. There might be like a carpentry crew that's supposed to have foam and demo dog doors, and then the door manufacturer comes behind them, and then there might be a third party which does all the hardware.
So we kind of know what school may be on that cusp of being, so why don't we prioritize those schools that we know aren't going anywhere, get that started, and, because I agree, we have a fiduciary responsibility, but safety is number one, and I don't want to be on the wrong end of something happening, here we're sitting here arguing about things like that. So it's important, but if we get these doors, we would have, we can focus on the schools that we know are solid and not stay.
Can any of these double doors be converted to single doors?
I think it's more so in regards to egress, it depends on the location and the type of building.
Yeah, to your point, Mr. Warren, there's some spots, where your PRI, those buildings they fall short in a lot of codes. So if they do go into it, they have to pull permits from us, we are RE, so we have to go through occupancy when they're done with this to make sure the building is sound and safe. Some of these buildings, we won't even get permits pulled, because of the way the vestibule is, the doors are too close, there's not 36 inches, there's not 12 feet of swing. There's a lot of variables that play into this that will kind of shake out as the bid gets built. So the doors that Mr. Carr said, right, there's doors that Mr. Carr presented, there's some that I put on the list, and when I gave those to the door contractor, they said, this one, you can't do this one anyways, without doing this, and this, so, it's kind of a snowball effect in some part of the
Going back to Mr. Bading's question about sort of doing some buildings first, if we were to do that, a sort of phased approach, does that mean sort of multiple bid processes and potentially increased costs at the end of this because we're doing bid one here and then bid two here, the cost of materials has gone up?
Well, I mean, ideally you can structure it however you want. So typically what they would do is if you wanted to do a phase approach and you call it phase one, and this summer you wanted to pick the 3 schools, that would be phase 1 of 2026. Phase 2 would be 7, you would pick 3 more, 4 more, that would be your phase 2. I think your pricing would still kind of be aligned, obviously your changes, but I don't think it's going to change drastically. You're running into problems if you're just going to do one school now, and then you decide in July you want to do another one. That's what's going to be expensive because construction season's already started. They've already got their work lined up, so they're kind of just jumping on. They're going to take you to that and raise the prices.
So regardless, better to pick a plan and stick to it.
You're going to have problems with my child's at this school.
That's what I think. I think we just do it all at once. I honestly think we have to. I think it's the most equitable approach. Yeah.
It's a one contractor operation, because one contractor is not going to have enough people to do our entire district.
Well, sure, but they're like different crews, right?
So someone's going to have to be first and someone's going to have to be last, right?
But could they get it done in the summer? If nobody's here, they have different crews coming in. Could this project conceivably be done over the summer?
If you were going to do every school, I'd tell you not to do that. No, they don't have enough time to do that.
Okay.
If you're going to do 3 schools, that's more realistic. Yeah, I could probably tell you yes.
Okay.
And I only say that because if they run into issues, we're the ones who hold the bag. So.
But regardless, we do the bid process all at the same time. Okay, to lock in the prices.
So what if we did the 3 like you just mentioned, right out of the gate, get the one for the facility master plan back in here ASAP, present to them stuff that's subpar, whatever you feel that doesn't make the grade. If they can do it in a week or 2, and then release all the monies for the other one.
I'd rather, given that we're bumping up against the winter holiday, the holiday break, the district is closing, I would rather move ahead with the approval and then adjust on the back end after our architect gives.
Are we able to reverse course if needed be once we have them working in these buildings? They're adaptable to that?
Not once they're working on the buildings, just...
Once they did the contract, Are they adaptable to changing it to meet the facility that they'll be securing?
Are you talking about facilities master plan or doors?
Doors.
Yes, so if I'm following what you're saying, if you guys pick the 3 newer schools and you guys release that, you put out the bid, it was awarded, they're gonna start in the summer, they're gonna do those buildings, is that what you're asking me?
Well, what about the master plan results? Again, is there any way we can get them to put on the accelerator and get that back to ASAP in the next week or two?
I can certainly ask them, I know they like to be very, and like you said, they're paying a lot of money for it, so I can be cautious and miss something.
Again, I don't want anybody to take it wrong. Safety's priority one here. I just don't want to see us throw a boatload of money into a building and they reverse course in what we're doing. That's the real problem I have.
And I just think, again, I think money spent on safety now is money well spent, regardless of what the future of our district holds.
The thing is, that they're not going to be able to get all these buildings at one time, so we'll have a week or two to come back and revisit it all and ask them for it. To get it.
Understood. I think we could possibly revisit it in January. There's no reason to make people meet on Christmas Eve or New Year's Day.
Well, I'm not saying sooner than the January meeting. You could go the second week of January or something. I mean.
Ms. Cooperfield.
Yes.
What are we voting on
Tonight?
What is the specific language that we're voting on?
Sure, absolutely.
We're not buying the doors.
No, we are not buying the doors. We are voting on, and apologies, I'm looking for it in the agenda. We are voting on the determination on how to proceed with the 2026 door safety project.
Yeah. So all we're approving is a bid for doors.
Yes.
When bids come in, if it doesn't fit what we want, we can always not approve the door.
That's absolutely true. We are.
So, I think I'm going to Frank's whole plan, but I think I might have to switch over to what you're saying, because I think we could just approve the bid, we not have the bids.
We go back to the drawing board.
There. That's all we're doing right now, is approving the possibility of bidding on these doors, not.
That's right.
So we're not approving work for these buildings, we're just approving a bid.
We're approving we're approving the team to go proceed with the project, and the next step is going out to bid. So that is what we're approving. We're approving the going out to bid on the doors and access
But
panels.
then we'll have to approve for them to do the work, correct?
Yes, we will have to come back. We will have to approve or not approve the bid when we get those back. Right, is that correct? We'll come back, the bids will come back to us, and then we decide how to proceed.
I have no problem, again, I thought we were authorizing work. I have no problem with approving the bid, comes back to see what we can. In the interim, Bill, take a look at if we can get the facility master plan personnel in here to give us some definitive answers and what direction we need to go, please, so that, number one, like I said, security is number one here, and we can make the right drive down the right lane to secure these buildings, so we're not reversing course with our money.
Perhaps the architect could come to the same board meeting as we have the bids in front of us.
Sure.
Okay.
Is it possible, I mean, we've already established, they're not going to do all of our buildings in one summer. That's just unrealistic. Is it possible when we get those bids to kind of find out whoever bids, what their timeline is? Like, we already identified 3 schools. Those theoretically could be done over the summer. So that probably takes care of 3 schools. I don't know when else people would work on a building, other than, you know, there's winter break, that's only 2 weeks, so maybe you can get 1 building if you're lucky done in there. This sounds like it's gonna be a summer project, because that's when the building's empty the longest.
Right, so you can do majority of the
sure.
summer, you could also do it off hours during the school year. There's a cost with that, obviously, you'll have to pay certain trades overtime, but if they can come in potentially on the 2 to 11 shift when my custodial staff is here, and they could work when kids and staff are off on the building and do several doors at a time in that regard too. So if you wanted to make it a true year-long process, you could.
Dr. McKay, I believe you had something to add.
So when I look at this action item, it says it is recommended that the Board of Education determine how to proceed with the 2026 board safety project. So I can understand why you have that question. So I think, if anything, it's going to be working to proceed with getting bids for the 2026 board project.
Okay.
And then I was going to ask about that differential, because there are options for the differentials for night work, maybe, I don't know how long, it's not ideal, but, you know, it's great or things like that.
Could the bids include proposed timeframes for completion?
I think, maybe, can I?
Sure, yes, of course.
So let's say, Lakeland School, so how long would it take to complete the actual Lakeland School door project, so that you could see if it's a week, and we included the differential costs, then we know what this would look like over a period of time, because we estimates of that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could have the construction manager who kind of project all that out. Just to be clear, you guys want to move forward, because when I build a bid with the architect or the construction manager, they ask specific questions, so I just want to be clear with them. Is the board tonight deciding, am I getting bids for every school up there, and then I bring it back and you guys are going to pick which one you want to do, or am I picking 3 specific ones? Well, how do you want this structured, because they're going to want to know all of it.
I think,
seeing that things were different here in the discussion, I believe we want to get a whole bid back on all the schools that are listed there. Then once we get that back, then we'll be able to determine, after we talk to the master plan people, if we can take them out of the equation, get the ball rolling as fast as we can in that, and like Sarah mentioned, look for off hours work, the minimal dollars that it'll probably cost. Again, we'll keep everybody happy because we're trying to secure the buildings and keep everybody safe.
but yes, yeah, agreed. The whole number for now.
Okay, I asked for it on the agenda.
6B.
Yes. So it's under action items after the consent. Are there any additional questions for our operations team right now?
It's up a little bit farther up.
Are there any further questions for
I
our,
have one more question.
Yes.
Can we use multiple contractors to just knock out everything that's on? So one contractor strung along for all of our buildings?
You can. It gets complicated though, especially if it's specified that it has a meeting union with a rate of wage. They have to pay a certain bond, so kind of limits your contractor pool. I can fully expect there's 3 big door companies around here to use. Those 3 are probably going to be the ones that fit out of the day, just because they can take it all. So there are companies, to your
So
point.
why don't we, if the numbers are close and acceptable, this contractor gets 3 schools, this contractor gets 3, this contractor gets 4, whatever the math works out, just send them loose, all at the same time.
Oh, yeah, the work thing is, if we get this back, you guys can pick and choose and build it however you want.
John, that's a great idea. I didn't think of it. That way we can expedite, we're more dialogue here. Bill's thinking, look at it, because we can expedite getting all the buildings done in a more timely fashion to get them all secured.
Okay.
does that change the bid process in any way?
Nope, it
Okay,
just changes
excellent.
the documents, that's all.
Okay,
I think,
excellent.
sir, what we learned from this is dialogue and what everybody's looking to do here.
And yes, this is why I'm very happy we had this discussion.
So am I, because I want to make sure we're doing what's right for the taxpayers. Number one, as I said, securing the facility is number 1 priority here.
I think we're all in agreement there. All right, any further questions? Okay, all right. We are going to move on now to consent agenda, and thank you for everyone who's still with us this evening. The consent agenda, the items are listed on the agenda. Is there any items anyone would like removed from the consent agenda this evening? All right, hearing nothing, may I have a motion, please, to approve consent agenda items 5A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, and Q.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. A roll call, please, Mr. Burmeister.
Mr. Warner? Yes. Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Cosby Roll?
Yes.
Mr. Geithner?
Yes.
Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Manning? That agenda is approved.
All right, thank you. Moving on to action item 6A is our 2026 Capital Life Safety Project Masonry Assessment. This is an action item. Are there any questions about this item?
I think that was just, what, $5,000 that we missed?
That's right, $5,280 to include masonry in the Capital Life Safety. May I have a motion to approve this item?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. A roll call, please. That was Ms. Martinez that seconded.
Yes. What number is it?
6A.
Mr. Manning? Yes. Mr. Geithner?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Warner? Ms. Cosby Roll?
Yes.
Mr. Burmeister, yes.
All right, moving on to action item 6B. This is our 2026 door safety project. May I have a motion to approve with proceeding with the bidding process for this project? All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, a roll call, please, Mr. Burmeister.
Mr. Geithner?
Yes.
Mr. Manning? Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Warner? Ms. Cosby Roll?
Yes.
Approved.
Thank you. Moving on, 6C is our school maintenance project grant application. This is tied to the door safety project. It's the school maintenance grant for an award of up to $50,000. So it's, may I have a motion, please, to...
One quick question. We're
Oh,
going to
sure.
amend that if it doesn't meet the criteria. We're able to do that?
That is a question for Ms. Marino.
No, so it's based off the school, so we have to determine what schools in order for it to be input correctly.
I just want to make sure that, we're not shortchanging the school because we get to the 59s there. There's other ways for us to get monies if we need to proceed with other facilities, correct?
In regards to this maintenance grant,
Well, no, this one, there's one specific, but if we have some more that needs to get done, we could add some extra monies to that, correct?
separately, like from local.
Okay, I want to make sure that we only give them 50 grand, we run out of 50 grand, we're in trouble.
Yeah, it's $1 for dollar, so we would have to spend, the district would have to spend 50 grand in order to be able to get the 50 grand.
I just want to make sure we're covered if we get what we need. All right, thank you.
Any other questions about this item? All right, do I have a motion to approve the district applying for this grant? Thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Manning? Yes. Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Ms. Cosby Roll?
Yes.
Mr. Geithner?
Yes.
All right, excellent. 6D is our Nathan Hale Middle School walk-in cooler repair. This is a repair for $21,515 to, let's see, repair one of the two walk-in freezers at Nathan Hale Middle School. Are there any questions about this item?
One quick question there. How old are these units, and are they worth being repaired, or are we putting a Band-Aid on a tourniquet? That's what I'm asking. I mean, how old are they? Why are we putting money into them? I just want to ask.
No, we're asking if these coolers can be replaced instead of spending 21 grand in repair.
So the one bid is a simple fix. The door needs a new hinge and new weather stripping. The other one at the far end needs a new compressor, essentially all new guts. I can certainly have them prepare a bid for new coolers. There's 4 of them. I did have one when I first started in 2023 for Precision Control, and it was upwards of $120,000 for all 4 of them. So I can have them re-up that if you'd like. They are all from the range between 1983, I think they said, and 1994. So that's the range on the age on them.
And what's the typical lifespan for one of these units?
Under a good maintenance program, 25 to 30 years.
Are there any other questions?
That one seems like a decent amount.
You said there's one that has a hinge and a seal.
That seems-
That's a real reasonable fix. The other ones, probably should have some discussion on if we want them. We get any warranty for the 21 grand?
Or what?
Any warranty?
We can get a 2-year warranty on the compressor.
So, you could. Yeah, would you mind, would you want to buy more?
I would, if we might have it here, but.
That's what I'm asking, should we appropriate money to?
What is the cost of a new unit? Apologies if you already said that.
Well, there's 4 of them, so we just called a bank of 4. Like I said, when I had this estimate done 4 years ago by Precision Control, because our mechanical contractor, they were refrigeration side, they quoted us for all 4 was $120 grand.
So does that mean one new unit is 25 grand, or does it not work that way?
Yeah, that's a fair assessment, right? Obviously, the price has probably increased significantly in the last 2 years. In order for them to redo these, essentially they have to take everything out. What you're looking at in front of you is essentially just to replace the guts, so the metal box will still stay, but the coil, the compressor, the line set, the gas, everything else is going to be brand new inside of it.
So by replacing the guts of the unit, does it kind of essentially reset its life cycle? Can we consider it a newish unit then?
It's like a rebuild, yeah. I mean, you get, you get 10 years out of it, you get 10 months out of it.
But you said there's a 2-year warranty.
There's a 2-year warranty, correct.
You said there were 4 walk-ins,
There's 4, yes.
and are all 4 utilized?
Yeah. This one has not been utilized since it started.
Should I express the money?
Well, if we look at it from the perspective of rebuilding form, that's 80,000, supposed to be what we do, bring over 120, so let's rebuild it.
Yeah.
20.
You only need to worry about it all the last 10 months, but that's probably better to do that.
Well, at minimum, we'll get 2 years with the warranty. Do I have a motion to approve this walk-in freezer repair? Thank you. A second?
I'll second.
Okay, a roll call, please.
Mr. Bain? Yes. Mr. Warren? Yes. Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Gaskin?
Yes.
Mr. Tebow?
Yes.
Just put this on your radar, please. Replacing them.
Can you find a grant for this?
All right. Agenda item 7, these are informational items. Are there any questions about the informational items this evening? If not, we will move on to agenda item 8, which is our routine reports. We'll begin with the president's report. I will keep my comments very brief. I know Dr. McKay shared a communication about board committees. We will discuss board committees at the January meeting, so letting you know that is coming, that is on our radar. And then thank you to Mr. Burmeister for sharing some information about what he learned at the III conference regarding the Student Advisory Board and ways to improve the experience of our students. So I would certainly be open to having a board discussion with the input of Ms. Hill, who oversees that school student board, on ways we can change our agendas or just generally improve the general experience of our Student Advisory Board members.
And was it also considered email, maybe possibly making 2-year terms they had, so you're not shuffling somebody in and out?
That's right, yeah.
And they can't capture that knowledge in 1 year, but 2 years, they can get a little bit more knowledge.
That's right. So 2-year terms, so starting in 7th grade, and then by the time you get to 8th grade, you can kind of serve as a mentor to the 7th grader, which I think is a really excellent
I mean,
idea.
I'm in favor of that. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I read that and it seemed rather nice.
I agree. I just want to say, I guess I'm going to direct this to Ms. Hill since you oversee our students. I really want their input in on this too. Maybe they think 1 year is one too many, so I don't know if they want you to. But I really want the students' feedback on that too, if they would like to do to kind of really experience everything instead of just 6 meetings or whatever it is that they see in their 8th grade year.
Yeah, absolutely. Ms. Hill, have you seen Mr. Burmeister's email? Has that made its way to you?
No, I didn't
Oh,
share.
okay.
Because it was forwarded.
Okay, I think we can share that with Ms. Hill, and then maybe perhaps you could begin with a conversation with the Student Advisory Board and come back to us with some recommendations as what they would like to see. We'd love to hear their voices.
One of our board members too, or one of our student board members too.
Oh, excellent.
Do you want to just follow them around real quick?
Sure, yeah.
To put you on the spot, yes.
We met in the same, we met in the same district. Was it Oswego?
No.
Okay.
No. So Leah Brown from Hale Middle and I went to the Friday day of the Illinois School Board Conference. And she attended a morning session that was just students and student board members from across the state. Loved it. And then we attended together Phil Boyd session with People First in the afternoon together, which was, phenomenal. So the whole experience, and we even went to the vendor fair, so she really got to see the ins and outs of what all, kind of goes into decisions that school boards make. So, even during the lunchtime, we sat around the table. Right, with other school board members from around the state, and it was really, really an awesome experience. It's something I definitely hope that we can get an opportunity for all of our members to attend, in future years to come. I know that Kalia would be open to even presenting, some of the things that she took away from that conference as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing. All right, we'll move on then to the superintendent's report.
When I wrote this, I'll talk this. So on the Friday of the conference, I attended the Trust Edge Experience. I actually attended 2 sessions, but I did attend in the afternoon the Trust Edge Experience, which is founded and led by David Forsager of Forsager Leadership. Although he applies his research to a wide range of organizations from building to educational groups, the session was delivered obviously in a manner that reflected the realities of educational leadership with clear relevance to boards of education, superintendent, and the community we serve. He introduced the group to the 8-pillar framework as a practical, shared approach to understanding and strengthening trust. And he really emphasized trust in leadership and discipline that directly affects clarity, communication, decision-making, productivity, and organizational culture. And he demonstrated how trust is reflected through the daily actions and behaviors. He's an energetic guy. I think people love him here. He does certified human trust, which I thought was an interesting certification. I'm not. I didn't take the certification class. I just took this one. Anyway, he really underscored the role of trust as a foundational element of educational leadership, and this Trust Edge experience can really help boards of education, superintendents, and stakeholders work more effectively together and reduce conflict and lead to greater clarity and confidence. And I know that the organizations that were in the room, the activities and board resources is really good. So I would recommend his book. He has a book. I can get copies of the board if anybody's interested. Any of the principals are interested. It's really good. He actually was a speaker last year.
I think I have the book from last year.
Yeah, he's really good. I assume he's speaking to that many people. That's really, really hard to get the crux of it all, but in that smaller group, it was really good. That's all I have to say about that. And then just a reminder, winter break starts on Monday and goes through Friday, January 2nd, and teachers return on Monday, January 5th for Teacher Institute Day. So classes resume for students on Tuesday, January 6th. And I also just want to take a moment to wish everybody, the Board of Education and staff of the County School District 130 a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. We'll move on now to our 2025 Delegate Assembly experience, and that is Mr. Warner, please.
So I was one of 450 delegates at the conference, and all the delegates got a little fob, either vote yes, no, or abstain. And we vote for the new officers for the Illinois school board, and also for 8 different issues. And it was a very long morning. People have different issues, they stand up and they talk, for or against, and there are different issues, and then we kind of got around to voting, and everybody got a chance to vote. And then all the results were posted. Usually the votes went, was 80% one way, and everybody got an email how the voting turned out.
Great, thank you, and thank you
I
for...
didn't bring my notes of how they went. Everybody got an email.
All right, and thank you so much for representing the district at that assembly. It's important work. All right, we'll move on now to agenda item 9, communication from union representatives. Do we have BIEA? Hello.
Hi, Sherry Sarah, president of the BIEA. At the risk of prolonging this meeting any longer, I'm reluctant to bring this up, but I feel like we need to. I'm a little concerned with the casual you guys throwing around the closing of buildings, like it's really not a big deal when we know that that would have a great impact on our communities, our staffing, and whatever. So I'm just curious, because this is the first I'm hearing about all of this stuff, what is your plan for communicating this information to people? Because as soon as this gets out now, I know for me, I know I'll be hearing about this because they're going to be asking me, what is the timeline? So again, if there's the prolonging this, but I feel like it needs to be said because this is concerning to me. So if you have anything to add about a timeline for sharing this information now that you guys have been throwing that information out tonight.
Well, as you've heard, we're expecting, the first step is this facilities assessment, which our architect is undertaking. We're expecting the results back in October 26th. So that's a very comprehensive look at the district, long-term, look at, Mr. O'Shea could speak to it obviously much better than I can, but look at, population trends, things like that. But ultimately, the decisions lie with the Board of Education. We don't know what the architect is going to come back with. And once the architect comes back with the recommendations, it will be a very careful process of sort of weighing what their options are. And any process, of course, would have to include community engagement, not only among the school community, but among our 4 communities that we serve as well. Because as I'm sure you know, your home school community, the place where your children went to school, is a very, people get emotionally attached. People live in these neighborhoods, they see these buildings every day. So any path we go down will have to be gone with care and bearing in mind the sort of feelings and implications for our entire community, which is the 4 communities that we serve and our district community. So I don't have any real answers except to tell you that community engagement is absolutely part of the process, and we will cross bridges as we come to them, but right now we're at the very beginning, and what they come back with, we don't even know. So.
Well, I mean, just to put it out there, this would be a huge...
Sure, the main thing is the buildings are aged.
I completely understand that. But again, like you are talking about people's lives and communities and whatever, and so it's just a little concerning, like I felt like it's a little bit lackadaisical as you guys are having thrown that around tonight. And I think you're not taking into consideration that impact that this will have on the community.
And I'd like to just, and I would like to emphasize, absolutely no decisions have been made because we don't have any recommendations. We don't even know. Yeah, we don't know anything, so we can't make decisions. So we really honestly shouldn't be talking so casually because we don't have any.
Sure, if you thought it was lackadaisical, it's not. It's a major concern that we're kind of addressing.
And I think that's my concern.
It's not.
I don't know how it's going to impact.
I'm sorry, because they come across somebody, it's very concerning of what's going to happen moving forward with some of these buildings that are older than both of us put together that no money was put into. And that's a real issue. Like Sarah said, population change of it. it's all go through you guys first. It's just something that we're learning through this assessment. That's why I was asking about this master plan. Are we gonna be doing something that we're gonna be reversing? That's my main concern, because if you gotta build a building, that takes time, and, money's not growing in trees. So that's why you heard my dialogue going back and forth on that master plan, because this is a major concern of what we're gonna do as a district here, in the upcoming years.
But essentially, we're at the very beginning of a multi-year process, so we'll all learn more together. And our architect will come, and these presentations will be here in board meetings and open to the public, so they, you'll hear.
Closing a building, replacing a building.
Well, again, we don't know. We don't know anything. We just,
Yeah, just thrown out there.
Well, you guys said closing, no.
Well, it would be replacing, it's closing was a bad word. It was,
Oh, okay. Thank you. And Dr. McKay is just reminding me that the architect did present at the September meeting, which is recorded, of course. So the sort of initial kickoff of that master planning process is available for anyone who's curious to go back and revisit that. Though you were probably there in September. Yes, of course. And again, the recording is available on our YouTube site. So,
Yes,
yeah.
Like, so we can put all of your documents pertaining to facilities and stuff in the file.
Sure, and I think a number of those are included with the public documents for board meetings. So, all right, thank you. Anything else, Ms. Sarah? All right, thank you. We'll move on then to our BIESPA Local 430. Is anyone here this evening? Hi.
Hi. We just want to thank the district and board member guests for their collaboration and work toward agreed upon concept.
All right, thank you. All right, moving on, do we have BIESPA Local 330? No? I'll keep moving along. SIE Local 73? Anyone here tonight? Okay. We'll move on now to agenda item 10, which is closed session. May I have a motion, please, to go into closed session for the following reasons? Let me get it out on the record here. For the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of employees, for collective negotiation matters between the district and its employees or representatives, for evidence or testimony presented to the school board regarding denial of admissions to school events or properties, for the setting of a price for the sale or lease of property, for the sale or purchase of securities, investments, or investment contracts, for security procedures, school building safety and security, and so on, for student disciplinary cases, for the placement of individual students in special education programs, for pending litigation, established reserves or settled claims, classification and discussion of confidential matters, and discussion of minutes of closed session. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All right, thank you. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Manning? Yes. Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Gaston? Yes. Mr. Roll?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Seymour?
Yeah.
All right, I would like to ask for a motion. Thank you. Do I have a second? All right.
Mr. Burmeister here. Mr. Gaston here. Mr. Liskey Roll. Mr. Martinez? Here.
All right, thank you. It is 10:26. Mr. Burmeister, moving on to agenda item A, the student suspension.
Can I have a motion to uphold the hearing determination for student SY 2026-01 and authorize the superintendent to issue said notice to the student's parent or guardian?
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Warner?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Gaston?
Yes.
Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Against, Ms. Rosero?
Yes.
Mr. Manning?
Yes.
Motion approved. All right, moving on to agenda item B. This is the step board grievance determination for SEIU. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll second.
I'm sorry, that's the motion.
Can I have a motion to deny the grievance for SEIU?
I'll make a motion to deny the agreements for SIU.
All right, do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
All right, roll call, please.
right, Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Werner? Ms. Cookie roll?
Yes.
Mr. Bain? Mr. Casimir?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes. All right. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item C, board grievance determination for BIEA. Do I have a motion?
Can I have a motion to grant the grievance for BIEA?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. A roll call, please.
Mr. Burmeister, yes. Ms. Cookie roll?
Yes.
Mr. Werner?
Yes.
Mr. Bain?
Yes.
Mr. Casimir?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes. All right, moving on, thank you, motion approved. Moving on to agenda item D, approved litigation settlement agreement. May I have a motion, please, to adopt the settlement agreement that's already signed?
I'll make a motion.
And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Werner?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Mr. Burmeister, yes. Mr. Bain? Yes. Mr. Casimir?
Yes.
Ms. Cookie roll?
Yes.
Approved.
All right, excellent. We are taking no further action after closed session, so may I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? And a second.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Werner?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Yes.
Ms. Cookie roll?
Yes.
Mr. Casimir?
Yes.
Mr. Burmeister? Yes. Mr. Bain? Abstain. All right.
All right.
Approved anyway.
All right, continuing